So, hello and welcome to the 7th edition of the European AI Forum. I'm sure that Linas will make us a little bigger on the screen at the moment and will fix us that you can all enjoy our three beautiful faces there. There you see Jeannette Gorzala, Vice President of the European AI Forum, and also Marloes, also Vice President of the European AI Forum. My name is Abbou, and I'm very happy to say hello to you all here in Europe. The European AI Forum Congress, 7th edition, we started in Zagreb over 3 years ago, and we are very happy that we could constantly give you a remarkable conference in every 6 months. And there are also things happening on the scale of AI, of course, in Europe at the moment. It's not only a trending topic, but it is also something which has a large impact on the actual discussion in politics, in society, in culture. And we're happy to provide a little bit the insight on the scale of AI from the experts, from the people who are actually using artificial intelligence and not people who only speak about it. And we are very happy to provide this to you. We have a very interesting discussion points, good keynote speakers, and throughout Europe, because the European AI Forum is not only a thing which happens like in Germany, France, or the Netherlands, it's happening all over Europe. We have 9 countries, AI Association, working with us to give Europe a voice in AI, and also that we are the largest AI organization, as you can see in all our nice little roll-ups that we have here. So in this case, I'm very happy to give now the word to Jeannette Gorzala, Vice President. Please.
Thank you very much, Daniel, for the introduction, and also a warm welcome from myself to our audience live from Brussels. I'm very proud that we founded the European AI Forum this year in May. And looking back, we have a very, very long history since the European AI Forum started already in 2020. There we already clearly identified that Europe needs to find its own path in balancing innovation and regulation with our values at heart. And in 2021, actually 1 week after the first draft of the Artificial Intelligence Act was published, we already engaged in proactive and constructive dialogue with Kilian Gross Commissioner. So over the years, we have built a large network, but not only of policy and lawmakers, but also exchange with the industry. We participated in the first pan-European study on the impacts of the AI Act on SME startups and the venture capital industry, for example. Of course, we also make recommendations and proposals how to find more balance between regulation and innovation in the AI Act. And today, the conference and our agenda, for me, represents a reflection of our work and our network. We will hear, of course, on the AI Act from members of the European Parliament and Commission, but we will also hear partners and large organizations in the European AI ecosystem, for example, Emanuela Girardi from ADRA. We will also not only focus on policy, but as you said, Daniel, go into the practical aspects, really to hear from innovation, to hear about education and AI literacy, and how we can foster and build a European ecosystem that thrives. So this was a welcome from Brussels, and now I'm very honored to give the word to my co-vice president, Marloes.
Yes, thank you, Jeannette. For us, I work for the Netherlands AI Coalition. It's a very important step that we have formalized our collaboration, and we can now further expand and professionalize our organization. And we have been working on this collaboration for 3 years now, and I would say that we have become very close friends. It's also a unique collaboration with a diversity of countries and also different experiences and opinions Daniel already mentioned that we have countries like Germany, France, and Netherlands, but it's really interesting to have this combination with a lot of East European countries. And I think this diversity works very well in our group. The European AI Forum has contributed to promote AI in innovation and also encourage that the AI Act is not about regulation, but also on innovation. And we have already contributed with many elements to stimulate an innovation-friendly AI ecosystem that has been included in the AI Act, such as the sandboxes and also important free access for startups and SMEs to these AI sandboxes, but also, for example, the adoption of a collaborative approach, including guidance by authorities. We welcome these adoptions, and we believe that their implementation will be very helpful for promoting AI products and services made in Europe with a human-centric approach. So we're not a lobbying club, but more a partner of the Commission to make the AI Act as practical as possible, also for startups and SMEs. And ultimately, this act should become a business model for human-centric AI. And I would like to thank you for joining us today, and I hope you will enjoy the program. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And now, Jeannette, I think it's you to present our first live input.
Yes, thank you very much, Daniel. Our first speaker is Emanuela Girardi from ADRA, from the AI Data and Robotics Association, where she is president. And I'm asking Emanuela, are you already here?
Yes, hi. I just cannot activate my video.
Yeah, this is our master control switch. He's called
Okay.
Mislav and sits in Lithuania, and he will give you your access in this second.
That's perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.
Since we were talking yesterday, are you still in Brussels or already in Italy?
Oh, I arrived very, very late, like at 2 a.m. in Italy, because last night there was a huge storm across Europe. I heard that today is in the north of Europe, and so the airport was closed. And so we flew across half of the north of Italy, and at the end we landed in a different airport. So today I still have to go and catch my car at the original airport. But at the end I managed to come back to Italy. But I heard that this morning Amsterdam airport is closed.
That's true. Marloes told us about this, and I also see and feel the wind quite here also in Brussels. Yeah. So you landed safely and sound on the ground again.
Indeed, so Linas, or please, can you try again with your camera?
Let me see.
So, and Linas, take me out, and please.
Thank you very much. Emanuela, the floor is yours. We are very interested to hear a little bit about ADRA, about your working program, and where the road leads us with regard to AI. Please, thank you very much.
Thank you, Jeannette. Thank you. Good morning, everyone, and thank you for having me here today. I'm really happy to have the possibility of doing a short introduction on ADRA. Okay, so let me start. I have a presentation. Will I share it, or will you send it from the organization?
We kindly ask you if you can to share the slides.
Okay.
Because I think it would be most practical.
Okay, let me open them.
Because then you have control.
Perfect. Okay, let me see if I can share them. Can you see them?
Not yet.
Okay, let me try once more. Okay, share. Share screen.
Now we see.
No?
Yes,
but
perfect.
But do you see the presentation?
Yes, we do.
Okay, let me send it in presentation mode.
Perfect.
Okay, perfect. Okay, then thank you. Let's start. Okay, so today I would like to give you a short introduction on ADRA. What is ADRA? What is the partnership? The goal of ADRA, and the main reason why ADRA was founded, and which one are the goals that we want to develop and to reach in the next years. So ADRA is the AI Data and Robotics Association, and it was founded in 2021 to become the private partner of the new PPP, the Public-Private Partnership partnership of the European Commission on AI, data, and robotics. In June 2021, we signed an MOU with the European Commission, and where we committed on one side the European Commission and on the other side the private part of the partnership. We committed to invest 2.6 billion euro in the next years until 2030. So it's, I mean, if we compare this amount of money, I mean, to the big investment of China or United States, is not that much money, but it's still a considerable amount of money that, if it's well spent, can really have an impact on the creation of the European AI, data, and robotics ecosystem. So ADRA was founded by 5 founding associations, which represent the entire market and ecosystem and research and with the multi-stakeholder approach of AI, data, and robotics. So the 5 founding associations are BDVA, URI, CLARE, Robotics, and ELLIS. And they work together for about 2 years with also with the initial board to really start up ADRA and start developing this European AI, data, and robotics ecosystem. And now there is a new board since few months, but there are still people, I mean, from the founding association that are involved in the development of ADRA. And ADRA has 3 very, very, I would say, ambitious goals, very high level, but also very ambitious goals that have been set in the Memorandum of Understanding. And I mean, that we really want to achieve together with the support of the European ecosystem of technology, innovation, and with the European Commission. So the first goal is to secure European sovereignty over AI, data, and robotics technologies and know-how. The second one is to establish a European leadership in AI, data, and robotics technologies, but with a high socioeconomic impact and an environmental impact. This green part and the environmental part and social part of the goals, so also the green and social sustainabilities are always included in all the documents that we release, and they are really, I mean, the fil rouge, I would say, of our overall strategy. And this is really the positioning of Europe in the global AI, data, and robotics landscape. And the third goal is to reinforce a strong and global competitive position of Europe in AI, data, and robotics. So as you can see, I mean, these are really very high level goals. And then we always keep in mind the Sustainable and Development Goal agenda of the United Nations, the 17 SDGs. And then on top of this, the 5 sustainability mission of the European Commission. So we think that we do believe that with the intersection and convergence of these 3 technologies, we could really face the world major challenges. And I think that if we look, for instance, as these 3 examples where the convergence of these technologies can really give a support and impact, they can have an impact and they can make the difference. If we think, for instance, in the cleaning oceans from plastic or from other pollution, it's a huge task. And advanced tech is really needed and can really be helpful here. Then if we think about the safe and autonomous driving car is another very critical and very interesting sector. And then if we think about smart agriculture, I mean, we really think that an efficient production of food can really be achieved with the convergence of AI, data, and robotic technologies. So these are just 3 examples, but there are really, I think, lots and lots of areas where the convergence of these technologies can have a strong impact, not only in Europe, but really globally. So why we should join, you should join ADRA? Which one is our value proposition? So we really believe that, I mean, as an ADRA member, you really get a role in solving these major challenges with AI, data, and robotics technologies. And we also boldly claim that ADRA today is the only European association that creates a unique value for its member by leveraging on the convergence of these 3 technologies, so AI, data, and robotics. Of course, there are lots of, other successful associations like DBA, like Robotics, like the association, like your association, that it's becoming more and more successful. But we really think that, it's at the end, it is very important to collaborate and to create a network and to be able to create this unique European innovation ecosystem, leveraging on all the different technologies. And then ADRA is also unifying the European research, I mean, the different research bodies on AI and data and robotics, and to make them having one strong voice, because you know that in Europe we are investing, I mean, discrete amount of money in research. Again, maybe it's not really that much if we compare it to China or to the big tech or to US. Or Canada or other countries, but then it's very fragmented. So with ADRA, we're really trying to, I mean, to bring them together in a one strong voice. And then ADRA can also help its member to formulate this research and innovation objective, but again, from a socioeconomic point of view and challenges, and also from the green challenges. And the last part is that we're not only facing these big challenges, I mean, like the SDGs or the European, 5 mission, but we're also, contributing in the creation of a European environment for idea to flourish and scale up. And I think that this is important, especially for AI startup as well. So this is more or less our value proposition. And of course, I mean, for different kind of target, we have different values. So we divided our target in 4 categories. For the big industry, we can really help the big companies bring the strategy discussion and analysis on AI, data and robotics convergence. So we can really support them in this because we have a very high level network of researchers, we have big industries, lots of experts, and so we can really support them in this strategic discussion. For the SMEs and startup, we can help them enhancing their product and services through the convergence of AI. And then, of course, AI, data, and robotics, and to enlarge the application domain. And then, of course, we can support them also positioning themselves, their products and their services towards these socioeconomic challenges. For the RTOs and university, we can help them formulating sort of some research objectives that are addressing these major socioeconomic challenges. And then, of course, we can help them increasing the collaboration with European industry. And then for the end user, ADRA can really help end user of AI, data and robotics tech to raise productivity and reaching the socioeconomic targets. So we already have, as I said, I mean, we've been in a sort of startup mode for the first 2 years, but now finally we're ready to grow, and we started also with some activities. We have some topic groups and task forces. For instance, these are the first topic groups that we already started. We have one in standardization, and you know that, if there is a lot of discussion on the sort of AI race globally or tech race, and then the standard will play definitely a very strategic role in this. So it is important to participate in the standard discussion. Of course, the standard discussion is happening in the standardization body, but to be informed and to be able also to have an impact, it is very important for the development of the European AI, data and robotics ecosystem. Then we have a policy group. This is also very important because you know that there are lots of legislations that have been approved or are in the process of being approved around technologies. So it is important on one hand to be informed about what's happening, and on the other hand to be able to provide some feedback, for instance, to the Commission about this legislation. Then we just released the first draft of the Strategic Research, Innovation and Deployment Agenda. This is a very important document because it's the document that will be used by the European Commission to define the Horizon Europe program. So in being a partner of ADRA, a member of ADRA, you can really participate in shaping this strategic agenda. Then we have an automotive and mobility group, a communication and marketing group for the dissemination, and national and regional ADR activities, initiatives. These are also very important because it is important to understand the best practice and to share the best practice that are being developed in Europe, in all the member states. So I think that these are more or less, it's a presentation. The last part, very quickly, the benefits of becoming a member of ADRA. So of course you can access to a larger community because the European AI Forum is already a large community. But in ADRA, there are also the players that are acting in data and robotics in addition to the AI. And then you can have, again, as I mentioned, an impact on the EU research program. You can participate in the writing of this RIDA. You can coordinate we can provide some response to the different documents that are published by European Commission, like the white paper, and we can provide some consultation together as ADRA, as a unique and single strong community. And then, of course, you can have an improved visibility at European level. So I try to make it quick. I mean, just to give you an idea of what we are doing at ADRA, and then of course, I will be happy to take some questions and to give you additional information, and you can find lots of information in our website as well.
Thank you very much for your introduction to ADRA, which is, of course, a very important partner also for the European AI Forum. As you mentioned, you have 3 verticals, AI, data, and robotics, and we are basically kind of like the AI industry focused part. So it's very nice to have you here. We heard already about a lot you are doing, about the investments you are going to make. Maybe one question now, since it is the topic of our time, about balancing innovation and regulation. What is your position? How do you view the AI Act and its potential impact on the European AI ecosystem?
Oh, this is a very hot and good question, I would say. So we had, a big discussion in the board in the past weeks, because, on one end, we know that we need regulation. Also, if we think about all the discussion that it's happening, in the United States, in UK, if we think about the hearing of the CEO of the big tech, the American Senate, and so on, the Congress, and so there, on one hand, you have some tech companies, not all, some like the big tech companies asking for regulation on AI. But on the other end, in Europe, we have this proposal that has been approved a couple of weeks ago by the European Parliament, and now, the trial just started, that it's very good, because on one hand, it's a first proposal for regulating AI system, but on the other side, the way it is proposed now, we think that it's a little bit too strict, because the risk is that, instead of leading in innovation and creating a strong innovation ecosystem, we are kind of leading in regulation, but not investing enough in the development of this European innovation ecosystem. And so it is, I think it is a very critical moment, because we need to do something, probably, to make sure that we develop and we use safe AI, responsible AI, and that we can really, enhance the European vision of trustworthy and human-centric AI. But on the other end, if we want to have a strong or strict regulation, we should probably increase dramatically the investment in AI in Europe. And if I think about investment, I think, for instance, in education, we don't have enough AI talents, for instance. Or if I think about the research, we have, big investment in research, but it's very fragmented. So, we have lots of very interesting initiatives, but we don't have a few big initiatives that can really have an impact globally. And I think that there are some limits, and to overtake these limits, it will not be easy, because, like you said, it is very difficult to find the right balance. But the discussion is going on, and I don't know if they will be able to approve it by the end of the year. I hope so, honestly. But I also think that the operational part of the AI Act will be quite challenging indeed.
Thank you very much for that outlook. And I take very much from your statement, it's not only about regulating, but also very, very much about investing, which I think is a very important point you made. I would love to talk and catch up more, but we are unfortunately on the strict timetable where I do not have time to ask you all the other questions we would like to have answered. But we will catch up hopefully soon, maybe in Italy, maybe in Brussels. Thank you very much for joining us and being the first speaker on the European AI Conference. And I hope very much to see you soon. Thank you, Emanuela.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, and have a successful forum today. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Best regards to Italy.
Thank you. Ciao.
Ciao. Okay. So now it is my great honor to announce our next keynote speaker. It is Jean-Noël Barrot, the French Minister for Digital Transition and Telecommunications, who will be giving us an overview and a glance about AI regulation and innovation in France and the strategy. Thank you very much. The floor is yours.
Dear participants, I'm very pleased to be able to share with you, even remotely, France's view on AI, which has become a very trending subject lately. We strongly believe that AI should be serving the well-being of citizens. It should be a tool for people, used ethically, responsibly, and with respect for our citizens' rights. AI technologies are increasingly ingrained in our everyday lives through voice assistants, medical care, robotics, and other less apparent areas. Following the launch of ChatGPT last November, many have integrated AI into their daily routines. This launch led to the advent of various other foundation model applications, including text generation and image generation. However, this rapid and unprecedented embrace of a new technology brings about numerous concerns. For instance, many fear a potential lack of transparency in algorithms and a risk to the protection of personal data. The prospect of AI that cannot be controlled by humans is frightening, and rightly so. Moreover, this is not the AI we want to promote on our territory, and the President of the Republic, the Prime Minister, and I are committed to a vision of AI that is, as I said, at the service of humans and not the other way around. Our vision of AI is also one that drives growth and innovation for the French economy. There is huge potential for inventive companies in improving government services, energy management, and enhancing business management methods. To accomplish this, the French government needs to encourage the local ecosystem to foster the growth of ethical AI. This doesn't just entail formulating extra rules, but also collaborating with businesses to build public trust in AI technologies. In doing so, we support the capacity to innovate for the benefit of our citizens. We have already investigated two areas that are essential to us: regulation and the economy. In April 21, France welcomed the EU Commission's legislative initiative to support the development of a trustworthy and competitive AI market in the EU. The EU is not the only one trying to tackle this important and complex topic according to our democratic values. For instance, OECD, the Council of Europe, UNESCO, the US, or closer to us, the UK, have also launched initiatives to enhance trust in AI technologies. Let's remind ourselves that there is not one single way of doing so. The EU, for instance, has chosen to regulate AI through legislation, as well as the Council of Europe, which has initiated its work towards an international convention on AI human rights, democracy, and the rule of law. On the other side of the ocean, the US have developed a blueprint for an AI Bill of Rights, which is a set of 5 principles and associated practices to help guide the design, use, and deployment of AI to protect the rights of the American public. On the last aspect of generative AI, the recent G7 summit in Hiroshima launched an initiative in order to define a framework for general principles shared among the member countries on their specific subjects. Coming back to the EU, as you probably know, the EU AI Act is still under negotiation, and it is a complex piece of legislation. For the past 18 months, the 27 member states have tried to find the right balance between an adequate protection of citizens' fundamental rights while supporting innovation in Europe. During its EU Council presidency, France has prioritized business clarity and pragmatic regulation. Efforts were made to align with what businesses can practically achieve while still protecting citizens' rights. Supporting innovation and safeguarding rights was another focus. For instance, businesses were allowed reasonable opportunities to test innovative systems without violating individual rights. Next month, Parliament will vote on a compromise text. We will then initiate trilogues to finalize it. France is committed to promoting innovation in Europe. We must avoid over-regulation that could push innovation outside the EU, depriving us of economic progress. The case of Google not launching Bard in Europe highlights this concern. Thus, regulation must be constructive. But regulation is not the only way France supports the development of trustworthy AI. In November 21, and under the impetus of French Finance Minister Bruno Le Maire, France announced a new phase for the national AI strategy, which mobilized 1.5 billion euros in public funding with a priority given to AI training, embedded AI, and trusted AI. In this context, more than 70 million euros were added to an initial investment of 30 million euros as part of a project called Major Challenge, consisting in securing, making reliable, and certifying AI-based systems, but also of funding for research through the 3 AI interdisciplinary institutes. We are also financing an interesting tool in order to deploy AI throughout the economy, AI Booster, which will in practice help some of our SMEs to implement AI solutions in their processes. I would need much more time to describe in details all the projects that we have been developing or supporting financially. However, I hope these few examples will show you how seriously France is taking the issue of trustworthy and responsible AI. More than half of the amounts of the national strategy will go towards skill development in AI. We already financed the creation of more than 3,000 new degrees in AI through different universities and schools since 2021. Skills are very important since we see that a lot of the talents contributing to the development of large language models are French, and we strongly need them to contribute to the research, may it be in France or even at an international level. As I mentioned before, AI, particularly due to the rise of large language models, is a trending topic, promising significant productivity gains through automation of simple tasks. However, major digital players like Microsoft, Google, Meta dominate the creation of these models, with few originating in Europe or France. This poses sovereignty and language adaptation challenges. Current models excel in English, but may struggle with German, French, or Croatian. Hence, we must bolster our efforts in Europe to foster the growth of AI leaders. It's essential to develop and promote AI models in Europe that perform well in European languages. France wishes to position itself and will soon be launching actions on this subject through the national strategy, and France strongly think that we need to work at European level to position ourselves collectively on generative AI. In this respect, France is initiating a program to set up a European consortium on digital infrastructures for automatic language processing. We need to go further in European cooperation, and I'm excited to see that you are all gathered today in order to enhance this dynamic. In conclusion, I'd like to express my sincere thanks to the organizers of this forum. This is an essential topic that we must address together and on which we must cooperate at all levels. It is our collective responsibility to ensure that we build a safe and ethical framework to guide and encourage the development of AI. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Minister, for joining us. I have the pleasure to give over the word now to Daniel to announce our next keynote speaker. Daniel, who will be joining us?
Thank you so much. So first of all, merci, Monsieur le Ministre Barrot, for your input there. And now we're, as we always do, it's a little bit like the Grand Prix d'Eurovision de la Chanson. We move from country to country. So we were in Paris. We're going now directly to the Netherlands. Huub Janssen, Huub, can you hear us and see us? So
yes, I can hear you and I can see you.
Okay, these are the prerequisites that enjoying your keynote, which is coming now. Huub is responsible for supervising AI on the Dutch Authority for Digital Infrastructure. He's also the chair of the Dutch Working Group and European Working Group of Competent Authorities on AI. And Huub, I hope you are doing good, and we are really looking forward to your input.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you for this nice introduction, and thank you for having me. And I would like to say something about the French approach, because even though as a competent authority, people sometimes think they're here to make life more difficult, I do think we have exactly the same approach like the French have. Well, let me first say a little bit about myself, and then on the way we view the supervision on AI. So within my agency, I'm responsible for AI, which is more than just supervising AI. It's also working on standardization, doing research, developing our own AI that we can use as a competent authority. but quite an important part is supervising AI. And I've been doing this for the last 3 years. And that's because it doesn't start with the AI Act. AI is already being used, and there's already a lot of current legislation to which AI must relate. So, for example, if the AI is used in medical devices, it's already under the medical device regulation. So if there are specific risks, they need to be incorporated in the procedure for compliance with the medical device regulation. The same goes when AI is being used in, for example, the telecom networks. We already have to supervise whether or not there are additional risks and if appropriate measures have been taken. So it doesn't start with the AI Act. So already for 3 years, we also, in the Netherlands, we work together with over 20 competent authorities who are all involved in supervising AI, sometimes more on horizontal issues like the GDPR, and a lot of competent authorities on sectoral legislation. And we do that mainly to learn from each other, to help each other, and to cooperate. And 3 years ago, I also started the initiative of a European working group of competent authorities, try to get the same things going on a European level. So learning from each other, helping and trying to align the way you view supervision. In the European Working Group, there's also the European Commission and ENISA involved. Since recently, we are starting to working together with UNESCO. They're supporting the working group, especially because of their knowledge on the global framework of ethics and AI. So we're really trying, as a competent authority, not only the policy side, but also the competent authority to work together and to coordinate on all these different levels. And now we're going into the area of the AI Act. So there's an additional legislation, probably beginning of next year. And there are a few things I would like to highlight. One is it's product regulation. So it's a different kind of legislation, different kind of supervision than, for example, with the GDPR. So product regulation means that before you put it in the market or you will start using it, you have to check whether or not you're under the AI Act, whether or not it's forbidden, high risk, or there are transparency rules relevant. And you have to do your assessments prior to putting it in the market. And I do think that's a very good approach because it helps to make sure that the appropriate assessments are done before it's put in the market and not after it's on the market. The second thing, which is quite vital, is it's a risk-based approach. So both the companies that are using the AI and have to do their assessments can work with a risk-based approach, but also the competent authorities will look at it from a risk-based approach. So it's not a legalized approach. This is allowed or this is not allowed. It's more like in cybersecurity, you look at how big are the risks and are there appropriate measures taken if necessary. Sometimes when I talk to the industry, they say, well, legislation only makes it more difficult to compete. But I dare to differ, because I do think that, like the AI Act, it puts a kind of layer of minimum risks that all the companies that wants to put AI in the market have to comply with. So in a way, it creates a kind of level playing field, and it helps the industry to know in advance to which rules they have to comply. So they are better able to make investment decisions, less risks. And it helps you to compete against companies that might want to, that are not so secure on human rights, on discrimination. So by putting in the AI Act, it makes sure there's a kind of minimum level playing field on fairness and responsible AI. So I do think, and I do hope it will help the industry. And of course, there's also the regulatory sandboxes, which are put in the AI Act in order to help, especially the small and medium-sized enterprises, to comply with legislation. what is also quite important for competent authorities, if you really want the human-centric AI, you need a strong European industry on AI and a strong AI ecosystem in Europe. That's why the risk-based approach is so crucial, that we try to give room to a lot of innovation unless there are huge risks for society. So as a competent authority, I'm really happy with the initiative of the Dutch AI Coalition, which we work with. We have strong connections, and with this European AI Forum. So also from a competent authority, I really value the cooperation with the industry. So what I try to show you is how, as a competent authority, but also as the chair of the Dutch and the European Working Group, how we are viewing AI, the supervision on AI, and also the AI regulation. So we really try, and I think in a way the same, to achieve the same goals as the French said. You want a strong AI industry in Europe, and we just need to make sure it's responsible for citizens and for companies as well. And this is my personal goal in a way, which I try to put forward in all my working groups I'm chairing. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you so much, Huub, for taking the time joining us, and we really appreciate your keynote and what you said to us, and wish you a very pleasant day. Hope to see you soon in real life or in the next European AI Forum. Thank you so much, Huub.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. So, dear friends, there is, of course, the whole discussion about the European AI Act. It's everywhere. It is hard. It's really discussed also in the European AI Forum with different viewpoints on it. But this is the sense of European cooperation, to get to know each point of view on the AI Act. Perhaps sometimes a view from Sofia differentiates from Den Haag. Sometimes a view even between Berlin or Paris can be different. But this is what Europe is, and we have to discuss it, and we have to find a way of handling it. And one of the experts about the European AI Act is a very good friend of mine. It's not nepotism that we invited him, because he is a very well-published expert on the AI Act. And I'm really looking forward that Professor Philipp from the University of Viadrina is now talking to us. Please roll the video.
Many thanks for the kind introduction, Daniel and team, and also for organizing this terrific event. It's really a pleasure for me to be back at the European AI Forum at this year's edition, this time with a talk on foundation models, generative AI, and the question of how all of this will be regulated under the new European AI Act. So regulating ChatGPT, the future of the AI Act, that is the topic for this brief presentation. We have about 15 minutes, and I will try to approach this complex topic in 4 steps. So first, I will try to give you an overview very briefly on some technical foundations of generative AI that are necessary to understand the legal dimensions and the legal questions lurking behind this. In the second step, we'll look at the model itself and the way in which it is regulated in the AI Act. I will conclude with some policy proposals, and before I then, well, in the last step, actually offer some final thoughts at the conclusion. All right, so let's get started right away. But before we get into the nitty-gritty, I just want to say that this is, of course, a very short overview. I have a couple of papers that spell all of this out in greater detail. You can find them on my archive page if you're interested. So, let's have a look just a little bit at the technical foundations. And many of you will probably be experts on this, or even more proficient than I am in this. But the important thing to understand is that when we talk about AI and the AI Act, it is, of course, of crucial importance to define what AI means. Because as lawyers, we need to define it to know when the AI Act will apply and when it doesn't. So the problem is that, as many of you know, there is no uniform definition of AI in computer science. And therefore, the regulators and legislators at the European level have struggled quite a bit to define AI properly. And in fact, they have taken a route that is a little bit unconventional, I would say, and they have honed in on a term of AI that focuses on autonomy. So the Council of the European Union, which is one of the two bodies that need to approve the AI Act, Council and the Parliament, the Council in December 2022 approved its general approach, basically made clear what its point is, and said AI, that is a system software basically that operates with a certain degree of autonomy and includes either machine learning or knowledge-based approaches. The European Parliament then just very lately in June finalized its position and also focused on autonomy for the definition of AI. So then the question, of course, is what does autonomy mean? And we can see something in the recitals of the AI Act and the position of the European Parliament, but I think that this is not enough. What the European Parliament defines as autonomy is basically independence from human intervention. But hey, my toothbrush can actually brush my teeth or someone else's teeth without human intervention. You just let it hang from the ceiling or whatever. For something to function independently from human intervention is not autonomy, it's automation. Any piece of machinery that's just a little bit sophisticated but has little to nothing to do with AI actually is independent from human intervention. So what needs to come in as well is some kind of learning capacity, some kind of ability to adapt to a new environment. And if we take the two together, then in fact we can speak of a more sensible, meaningful concept of autonomy. And then we would of course have to say what level of autonomy is required for AI to actually fall under the AI Act. My own proposal would be to say that for the moment, for the time being, let's focus on machine learning. Machine learning is something that is very neatly defined. Tom Mitchell, has already written this up in 1997, page 2 of his famous textbook, when he said a computer program is set to learn from experience E with respect to some class of task T and performance measure P. If it improves performance at task T as measured by P, improves with experience E. All clear? Well, basically it means the more experience the program collects, the better it gets. And roughly speaking, that's still true for any kind of machine learning program. It would be possible to focus on this definition, which is widely accepted in the computer science community, but for a variety of political reasons, this will likely not be the outcome of the trilogue. And speaking of the trilogue, here is some examples just of AI that are not ML that I think are not so important to regulate at this moment, because this is rather an old-fashioned approach, the knowledge-based approach, which may become more fashionable in the next couple of years, but we can always add it on. But the interesting structure now is that we have some kind of definition of AI. And the timeline now is that during the next half year, until roughly Christmas, the trilogue, meaning the discussions, negotiations between the Commission, the Parliament, and the Council, hence trilogue, will be underway. And hopefully we will see a final version of the AI Act around Christmas or in early January, which will then be published around May, June, something like this, 2024, and whose main parts will likely kick in 2 years later. So we're speaking of spring, summer 2026. But of course, companies have to start adapting right now if they want to be ready for the AI Act compliance regime when the time has come. So now with machine learning being still a key focus of the AI, because if you're doing machine learning, you're very, very likely going to be caught by the AI, even if the AI at the moment is actually more of a software act than the AI Act. Part of machine learning is large generative AI models. And we're in large generative AI models. They are large because they contain many billions of parameters. They consume a vast amount of training data. And that's important and often overlooked, it's necessary to have all kinds of compute resource for training these models. In fact, this is one of the main bottlenecks. In Germany, if you want to do this, there are only a few places who can do this. For example, the Forschungszentrum, the research center facility in Jülich, but they're running all kinds of different climate models, and it's really difficult to get a spot there, which is why it's so important to invest in compute infrastructure. There is an initiative, the LEAM initiative, that is pushed by the German AI Association, which would take important steps forward. $300 million or euros committed to this, but even that is probably not enough, because as we can see from the Lean report that was authored, came out in early 2023, in 2022, 73% of the large generative AI models were actually produced in the US, 15% in China, and arithmetically, because some of them are also in other parts of Asia, that leaves less than 10% for the EU. And that is, of course, a massive geopolitical problem. And whenever I talk to politicians, be it in Europe or in Germany, and I do quite a bit of policy work, this is something that they usually find quite shocking. And it should be shocking, because we really, with such a crucial key technology for our future, both of our society and our prosperity, we should not make ourselves dependent from a potentially Trump-ruled US or from China, which, of course, geopolitically speaking, is a difficult partner, to say the very least, at the moment. So we have these large generative AI models, and part of them are large language models. And these are based on transformer technology that were invented in 2017 by Google. And if you now take such a generative structure that generates output other than just numbers, for example, text, images, videos, you pre-train it so that it can be adapted to other downstream uses, and you take the transformer architecture, then you have the GPT. So if your mother asks you what that actually is, you'll hopefully now be able to explain this. And of course, GPT-4 and ChatGPT, which is actually GPT 3.5, are derived from this general architecture. Now, the big question for the rest of this talk is, how should we regulate this? And in fact, the AI Act proposes, just for general understanding, 4 general risk levels. So the most important ones is the red one here, the banned AI, and that's mostly crazy stuff like Chinese social scoring or any kinds of, really weird stuff, except for remote biometric identification, which is a big point of debate in the trial going forward. And the second most important, or probably the most important part of the AI is actually the high risk section, whereby certain areas are flagged as high risk. And if you use AI in these areas, then certain compliance rules apply. What are some of these high risk areas? Well, face recognition technology, employment, medical AI, credit scoring, social benefits, or the judiciary. So a lot of really practical applications, but also a lot of the areas where, just think of medical AI, in fact, AI can have immense benefits as well. I think that this is important really to stress. High risk areas are often also high benefit areas. So we should really reframe the discourse and think about it as, taking out some of these risks while enabling the necessary use of AI, for example, in medicine. Otherwise, if you don't apply AI in medicine, chances are that really many people will die unnecessarily. And, my sister is a doctor, and I come from a medical family. I know a few things about what's happening in the hospitals. So what is not included in the AI Act is e-commerce or search engines. Now, this is part of the Digital Markets Act, and if you're interested in this, I have a separate paper on this, which you also find in our archive. Now, within these high-risk AI systems, there are certain things that you have to do along the model pipeline. And that is, for example, Article 10. You have to instantiate a certain rigorous training data regime for your ML model, and such as factors such as correctness or representativeness will be considered, and you have to have sufficient degrees of these metrics. Then you need to document things, you need to make it transparent, you may need to make the system explainable to the general user, and you need to have a human in the loop in many cases. And finally, there is Article 15, which prescribes sufficient performance, but also certain criteria with respect to cybersecurity and the mitigation of bias feedback. Now, all of these kind of make sense as best practices. The problem really comes in when we talk about foundation models. Foundation models are a recent development. As we've seen, the transformer architecture only really was invented in 2017, and public attention on them has only really started with the release of ChatGPT in kind of the fall, November 2022. Now, in May 2022, the French Council presidency already made an amendment to the AI Act on general purpose AI systems, GPAIS. And what they had in mind were basically the generative AI systems like GPT-3 that were already on the market at that time. And they defined it as systems intended by the provider to perform generally applicable functions, such as image speech recognition and so on. Now that term has become a little démodé because now with the European Parliament compromise, and what I think is a much better term is being introduced, namely that of the foundation model. What is a foundation model? A foundation model is a model that has been described at length in really very well accepted computer science papers. So it comes from the research group around Professor Young in Stanford, and it is defined in the AI Act and the European Parliament version as an AI system model already back in April 2022, and now with the position also in June 2023, as an AI system model that is trained on broad data at scale, designed for generality of output, and can be adapted to a wide range of distinctive tasks. This does make sense because it focuses on generality of tasks and on the fact that this can be used for downstream applications. So basically what you want is some minimum consensus on what these models need to do in order to prevent errors being propagated down the AI value chain. Importantly, both of the definitions, GPAIS and foundation models, cover generative AI, which I will refer to as Gen AI going forward. So what is the vision of the EP? Basically, we published our paper regulating ChatGPT in January 2023, and some of the things that we proposed actually can be found now in the European Parliament version. And full disclosure, I was somewhat involved in advising the European Parliament on this. There are some rules concerning transparency, data governance, and cybersecurity that apply to all of the foundation models. In addition to, of course, the GDPR, non-discrimination law, product liability, which does apply anyways to all kinds of software, at least generally speaking. But then there are some more contentious points. All foundation models are supposed to have a risk assessment and risk management with respect to all possible high-risk users, which if you look at GPT-4 are more than 2, right? It's rather in the range of 2 million. And for generative AI, there's a specific section, Article 28B, paragraph 4, and it says that you have to disclose, it has to be made public when the generative AI system interacts with humans. So far, so good, granted. But there must not be any illegal output, and the copyrighted training data must be disclosed. This is really tricky, and I will tell you in a second why I think this is really problematic. Because illegal output, that's indeed a problem, but just saying we don't want illegal output, that's not enough. Obviously, output cannot be illegal. And also, copyrighted training data, what do you mean by copyrighted? According to the laws of which country? There is different copyright in each of our member states, and in the US it's still entirely different. And what do you mean? Like if you have a 20 million data set, 20 million pictures, do you really want somebody to actually look through all these pictures to determine whether that's copyright or not? Even lawyers have a hard time determining this. This would, have due diligence costs that go into the millions. Well, I don't think this can be the end of the story. And thankfully, we still have the trilogue to iron out some of these, what I think are patent errors. Level 2. So level 1 is the foundation model itself. Level 2, high-risk rules for those foundation models used in high-risk applications, for example, medical AI. And then level 3, some information sharing along the AI value chain. Basically, if you're the professional user and you have some obligations, or you're a deployer, you fine-tune a model, you have some obligations on the AI Act, you might not know how the model was trained by, say, OpenAI. Hence, you need to have a right to know within certainly the parameters of trade secrets law and IP law to know how this was trained. All right. So with this, let me come to the final section, to the policy proposals. What do I think would be the best way going forward? I think the main problem with generative AI, truly speaking, are pages like these. The fake image by the Pope or of the Pope that was circulating around the world, and that other fake image of the person to the right, who is, as you know, a convicted sexual offender in the US. But that particular picture of the mugshot is actually fake. But it was used by Trump to actually collect quite a bit of money from his supporters. Now, that is a problem when we look at general elections, for example, but also with respect to personality rights. ChatGPT invented a sexual harassment claim against a real Georgetown law professor, and that person now has extreme difficulties because this just went viral. And those are some of the things we need to take care of. You know, hallucinations, fake news, hate speech, child protection, but not necessarily, I think, the kind of nitty-gritty risk management that some people are dreaming of. So what I think is the problem is that in the realm of, say, moderation of harmful content, we have a system in place, and that's the Digital Services Act. But the Digital Services Act does not apply to generative AI, at least not to generative AI systems themselves. And that is a problem because once it does apply, which is when these pictures, for example, text is posted on, say, Twitter, that's when Pandora's box obviously has already been opened, and you will never be able to put all of this back into the box. It goes viral, as we've seen, you know, with a law professor who now has his reputation tarnished, despite the fact that this was a fully made-up claim. Now, what can we do? So the problem is that in the AI Act, there's a certain risk of over-regulation due to the risk management rules. And there's a certain risk of under-regulation, I think, when we think about automated mass-generated hate speech or fake news campaigns, which can really pose a problem for our democracies. And that is a severe problem for generative AI indeed. Because if we think back again, you know, we have the US, China, and the EU, and again, that proportion between them is just vastly to the EU's disadvantage. That's not to say that we shouldn't team up with the US, for example, absolutely in all ways possible for research alliances and also for making regulation more coherent across the Atlantic. But it would be important to have European models as well. How can we do this? Well, sensible regulation must be tailored for trustworthiness, but also aim at a healthy and competitive AI ecosystem and environmental sustainability, I believe, which is the next big challenge. How can we do that? I think that we need to expand content moderation on the level of all foundation models, basically have a DSA light for foundation models. And we need to have some more stringent rules on sustainability because we're really on our way to overshoot even the most modest climate change goals that we have, and we're just going to make our planet uninhabitable within a few generations if it continues down that road. I think that most crucially, we need to put the risk management section from the model level to the use case level. If you have a specific use case and you use the model in that specific use case, then you have to do the risk management and the risk assessment, but not for a model like GPT-4 with millions of use cases. That just doesn't make sense. And that is extremely difficult to do for SMEs that don't have the money, like 10 million euros, to throw at the lawyers and the coders who can actually do this. And finally, we need more concrete rules and information sharing along the AI value chain. Hence, our suggestion would really be, most importantly, again, when you have medical AI, obey the medical regulation. That's actually a no-brainer. And we see this in other areas too. When you go buy shopping and you want to have some screws, of course, if you want to use those screws to construct a space shuttle, there's very specific product safety regulation that kicks in. But if you only want to use it to screw together your next IKEA table, of course, those product safety rules are going to look very different, and the risk management framework will look very different. So again, that's important. In content moderation, I think we can expand some of the DSA rules, and I'll cut this short for sake of time, and just mention that the next frontier, I think, going forward, and that's also a new research project of mine, will be the intersection of AI and sustainability. How can we use AI for sustainability? Many great use cases there, but how can we also make sure that AI itself is more sustainable? Because as AI systems such as ChatGPT in a medium-sized dialogue actually consume 500 milliliters of water. So with more than 100 million active users, that's a problem. So summing up, I can say that this is still kind of a blind spot in EU regulation. The European Parliament has introduced some interesting language along these lines. We will see where this leads to. The trilogue is certainly to be closely watched, and we're in for a really exciting time in the next year, I believe, both on the technical and on the regulatory level. Let's try to maintain the civility of our discourses. Let's try to generate a level playing field for SMEs and big companies alike, most importantly, also transatlantically across the pond. And that means in the EU and beyond, in the US and in other countries. Many thanks for listening and have a great day with this fabulous virtual conference.
Thank you, Philipp Hacker. This was a very deep dive into the AI Act, and I thought it was very fascinating, very interesting. And also, it is, of course, a complex thing where the European AI Forum will have its points in the next months, because we want to give also our input to the trilogue. So, dear friends, I am at the moment not in the offices of the KI Bundesverband in Berlin. I'm at the IPAI. The IPAI is the Innovation Park AI in the state of Baden-Württemberg in Heilbronn, and is mostly founded by the Schwarz Stiftung. So everyone who shops at Lidl at the moment, yeah, thank you for that. Here is here's one of the most emerging AI parks throughout Europe, and with the whole commitment of Schwarz. And we really appreciate that Moritz Gräter, the CEO of IPAI, will take the next video message for us. Moritz, the floor is yours. And we hope that our DJ Linas will have now the video for us. Linas, my friend, is there anybody out there? So we are now waiting for Lithuania to put in the next video, and perhaps we can get a little feedback, and there it is.
Everyone, thanks for having me. My name is Moritz. I'm the CEO of the Innovation Park Artificial Intelligence. Thanks for having me, and thanks especially for the great opportunity to present to you what this Innovation Park Artificial Intelligence is actually all about. Okay, let's get started. Our project is called Innovation Park Artificial Intelligence, or in short, IPAI. That's the name of our project. And actually, and this is, I think, pretty unique, IPAI was initiated by the state of Baden-Württemberg. And this is, I think, really quite impressive, because the ministry back then, a few years ago, basically had a look into the wider, let's say, digital transformation of especially our economy here in Baden-Württemberg. And they came to the conclusion that, for example, when it comes to the science part of AI, we are already quite strong. In Stuttgart, in Karlsruhe, at the KIT, at the university, but also especially in Tübingen with our friends from Cyber Valley. So they're very, very strong when it comes to the foundation, so that the science part of AI. But they also came to the conclusion that we do have a lack in actually shaping AI ourselves, but also especially applying AI. And the ministry said, well, we do want to foster one approach that is putting together all the ingredients that we need basically in order to enable, especially our institutions, our corporates, our mid-sized, our small companies, to actually apply AI. And all these ingredients need to come together on one platform. That is not only a virtual applied AI platform, but that is also a physical platform. So one home, one park, so to say, for artificial intelligence. And back then, they actually launched this as a competition, and the consortium here in Heilbronn actually won the competition against 3-4 other very, very, very strong applications. And the consortium consists of the Dieter Schwarz Foundation, a foundation here that has invested heavily in the past years here in Heilbronn. In science, in entrepreneurship, in education, actually. So IPAI very much fits into these activities. Also, the city of Heilbronn, the Stadtsiedlung Heilbronn, and the Schwarz Group, which is the company behind the Dieter Schwarz Foundation, is part of the consortium. But what are we actually doing? What is IPAI going to be, and what is IPAI going to become? IPAI is going to be, as I said already, a world-class platform for applied artificial intelligence. So our focus is not on the science part or anything else. Our focus is on applying AI, really bringing AI into application, and to make sure that we have all the different ingredients on that platform that we need. And of course, we do want to, let's say, shape this platform as a network and basically bring all the different institutions together on this one platform and force them and help them, enable them to cooperate, to co-create, and to really drive AI and to benefit basically from AI in a very open, innovation-driven kind of way. Also, what we're going to have there, and by talking to lots of these institutions, of those corporates, we realize that there's a lot of infrastructure that you need when it comes to data, when it comes to spaces, when it comes to real labs. So all kinds of infrastructures are needed in order to apply AI on a world-class level. And we said, well, we could actually do this in a shared economy kind of approach. So basically, we as IPAI could invest into this infrastructure and then offer it to all the different, let's call them members, that are actually benefiting and being attached to the IPAI platform. And also, and you see this here in the first part of this sentence, we also want to become a real international magnet, because we believe, especially here in Baden-Württemberg, we need to be loud, we need to be heard, we need to be seen. And in order to do this, we really need to be visible with what we're doing and shed a light on all the different players that are active in the IPAI platform. And also, and I think this, I hope this is already visible when you look at our websites and all the different formats that we're already doing today. We do want to become a lighthouse, a European lighthouse of innovation, of AI innovation, but we still feel very strong roots here in Baden-Württemberg, and especially also in the city of Heilbronn, where, and I invite all of you to come here to Heilbronn and to visit us and experience for yourself how Heilbronn is evolving. It's incredible, not only with IPAI, with this applied AI innovation ecosystem. We have AI founders here who are driving acceleration programs with AI startups. We have campus founders here who help students become startups. We have one of the greatest one of the greatest science museums actually in Europe here in Heilbronn, the Experimenta. We have the coding school 42 here. So tons of great initiatives here in Heilbronn. And I invite all of you to come and experience for yourself this very, very vibrant development of the city. And we do feel the strong roots here in Heilbronn. And also, I think, especially for you who I'm talking to today, this is very important. The focus of this applied AI platform and enabling all the institutions that are connected to our platform is that we want to put the human in the center. So really what you guys are driving is what we're feeling and what we want to put in the center of our attention and our approach, that we want to shape AI based on European values. And to us, this means to put the human at the center. And in everything we do, in accompanying the regulation, how to apply the AI Act, but also in how we do things and how we really want to drive AI here, is by putting the human in the center. So we really feel that this is the USP of the IPAI platform. And combining all these different aspects of us putting together the right people, having the right ambition, looking for or providing infrastructure, providing the right topics and expertise, this all results in this vision that IPAI wants to become the global home for human AI. And as I said before, human AI is in the center. We love this approach of the home because it means that IPAI belongs to all the different partners and members that are actually attached to the platform. And this is the way how we want to really bring this, make this visible in the world, but still focused on the human and the application of AI. But it's not just a concept, as you may think now. That's something that's in the far future. We have already started today, and we're developing this AI ecosystem IPAI in stages, because as a startup, we really wanted to start fast and now. So this is where we're standing today. The first site is growing. We already have a first space with 1,200 square meters, and you see all the partners that are on board already, from Fraunhofer, Audi, Porsche, Würth. So you see already tons of startups with our friends from campus founders and AI founders that are shaping their startups here. So you already see the different type of players from science, from education, from the corporate world that we're having attached to the platform already in a first physical space where we're exchanging constantly together. And this is a small example of a really great project from Porsche, who have actually decided to create a second home to their headquarters, which is their home of AI here from Porsche at the IPAI headquarters. But also in this first phase, we have already shaped a lot of strategic partnerships. For example, we have engaged in a partnership with Applied AI. So with the managing director, Andreas Liebel, we shaped this idea of actually taking Applied AI, which is a more 100 guys and ladies consisting AI consulting company, AI application company out of Munich, founded by the Unternehmertum Association from the TU in Munich. And actually today, Applied AI belongs to Unternehmertum and IPAI 50-50, and is a really great adventure, obviously, but also a really great joint venture together, and a competency stream that we wanted to have on the IPAI platform to then be able to offer it to all the different partners and members that we're having at IPAI. Also, of course, as a great and an emerging ecosystem is doing, we do a lot of events, we connect a lot of people from our members and partners. And also, and this is important, we don't only do that by ourselves. So with the IPAI team that has already grown from 2-3 people last October to now 17, 18, just recently 2 people started. So we're almost hitting 20 people now. But we also leverage a lot of expertise and network and insights from the partners that are attached to IPAI. So they are curating formats as well already on the platform. Stage 2 is going to be live at the first quarter of 2024. So already in the very near future. And this is our very first own building, our very first own home of AI, so to say, at the campus Wurgeling, 6,500 square meters of innovation space, of real lab, of a living room where you can actually feel and experience the application of AI, but also how leveraging art and culture to experience in AI, and then also to show people from the city of Heilbronn, the people living here, the benefits of AI. So all this will be visible and experienceable in this first home of AI. And you may think, well, this is a big and bold approach. That's going to cost a lot of money. That's going to, of course, create a lot of impact. But in order to become a global home of human AI and really have the impact on the global economy, this is not enough. So that's why stage 3 is needed. In stage 3, in our vision, will be the hotspot in Europe for applied artificial intelligence. And we have a more than 23 square meters, 23 hectare space reserved for us. And actually our vision, and I know this is quite bold, we actually wanted to build an own AI district in the city of Heilbronn. And of course, this is a very green field today. And that's why we asked 10 architectural firms, all basically Champions League format. How could this look like? And really, we had great results and great examples from the different architectural firms how this could look like. We decided for one of the most renowned architectural firms, MV with their approach, and this is how it's going to look like. And a very impressive circle, a real future city, and real AI district on more than 23 hectares, completely free of cars. Cars are going to be drawn down to the downstairs area, basically for logistics and transportation. So we have a mobility hub in there. We have a communication center in there, real labs, the startup innovation center, tons of space for startups to start their idea, to start their AI venture there, but stay within the circle until they become a unicorn. So this is the goal that we're having. We also decided for this approach of MVRDV because we believe this is the boldest one. This is the one that will give us the biggest, the biggest presence in Europe, the biggest, and actually our ambition to have a footprint in the world, to have a footprint in Europe with human AI will be visible with this approach a lot. Here you can see some visualizations of our communication center, which will be a favorite place of AI in the world, I promise, for example, for the topic of AI and art. Also here, this will be really the home. And again, also, and that is important for us, this will not be a closed space just for AI enthusiasts. It's also going to be a space for the people of Heilbronn. tons of opportunities to go there with your family and then have weekend vacations, to go to the restaurant, use some of the facilities to do some sport activities or just wander around here, but also we already have shaped some great journeys that you can take by walking through this district. Either if you want to experience the great nature that we have here in Heilbronn, also especially when it comes to wine and nature topics, but also when it comes to experiencing AI and really experiencing AI in application in the space. And I hope you saw that with IPAI, we really want to make a difference in Europe. And thanks also for helping us in doing that and in applying AI and really shaping this together, because partnerships to us are very, very important. And that's why I really wanted to thank the Bundesverband KI, Steffi, for inviting us to this talk and giving us the opportunity to reach out to all of you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much, Moritz, for this great presentation and also for the invitation to Heilbronn, and also this inspiration of the futuristic AI district. So I will definitely visit. Tell me when it's finished. I now have the great pleasure to announce our next keynote speaker. Our next keynote speaker is Sylwia Stefaniak from the Polish Ministry of Digital Affairs, and she will be deep diving into the topic startups and SMEs. What is the AI adoption rate? What do we need to do to increase it? Thank you very much, Sylwia, for joining us today. The floor is yours.
Ladies and gentlemen, hello. My name is Sylwia Stefaniak, and I'm an expert at the Ministry of Digital Affairs in Poland. I'm involved in creating program activities and public policies related to the implementation of artificial intelligence in small and medium-sized enterprises. Today, talking about artificial intelligence is one of the most important issues we face for many reasons. This is not only because the topic has made a media buzz thanks to ChatGPT, but also because the implementation of this technology raises many challenges like competences, legal and ethical. In the context of artificial intelligence in SME sector, those challenges are evident because on the one hand, the level of AI implementation among this type of entrepreneurs is particularly low. And the other hand, this group is extremely important to the economics of most countries. Organizations of these types are characterized by low maturity in terms of implementing AI-based solutions. This is mainly due to the lack of adequate financial, human, and competence resources, as well as low awareness of use of data in this area. One of the biggest obstacles of AI adoption is getting through the initial stage, which includes difficulty in finding trusted AI solution providers, lack of knowledge to understand AI and identify AI use cases, and lack of guidance on AI adoption strategies. Therefore, public policies in this area need to be addressed from the central level. The European Commission has been monitoring member states since 2014 and monitoring digital progress through the Digital Economy and Society Index report. And according to this report, in 2022, the European average use of AI is only 3% in SMEs. At the Ministry, we recently conducted a study of AI development in SME sector. The hypothesis that the level of digital sophistication of Polish SMEs is at low level was confirmed to a small extent. The survey showed that while it's true that about 70% companies have interested in broad digital solutions and tools in the last 3 years, it should be noted that for the most part, these investments were not in advanced solutions from this area, but in basic equipment and software to support the execution of daily tasks and duties. The area with the highest use in Polish SMEs is services, it's 83%, while digital technologies such as AI are implemented in SME companies in only 5.6% of companies. However, It is worth noting that the entrepreneurs plan to invest in the discussed areas in next 3 years. 1 in 10 companies plan to implement AI-based solutions, but 10% companies planning to implement AI, it's still not enough. Digitalizing this group can be a major challenge. At the European Union level, the adopted digital decade notes that digital transformation of businesses is necessary, and this is one of the pillars of this document. It assumes that by 2030, 70% of EU businesses should use cloud, AI, or big data. In addition, more than 90% of SMEs should achieve at least a basic level of digital usage. That's why you can see a great deal of activity in digitalizing SMEs in the recent times. One can see not only European digital innovations hubs, testing and experimentation facilities, but also global activities such as AI for SME initiative implemented by Global Partnership on Artificial Intelligence. The main task of the project AI for SME is to connect experienced AI solution providers with enterprises in such a way that their AI implementation needs are properly addressed. Nevertheless, as government representatives, we must not forget about inclusivity, sustainability, human-centered values and justice, technical robustness and security, and accountability in the use of AI. To achieve this, we need to remember to build an ecosystem of cooperation between the public sector, commercial sector, scientific sector, and all those who intend to use AI systems. There are many activities that are an attempt to generate good practices to support and facilitate the implementation of solutions based on AI in the SME sector, as well as their popularization in this group. It is worth emphasizing that these activities are necessary not only in the Polish market, but also in the global market. Nevertheless, the sector is not truly researched in this regard, and we do not know what challenges it faces and what slows down the use of new technologies. This is why international cooperation it is so important in this field and the exchange of experience between many countries. These activities further will fill the market gap, lack of addressing the needs of this target group, and the research gap, like descriptions of program mechanisms addressing policy implementation problems in the context of SMEs. Taking any actions that will support the sharing of good practices is programmatic implementation of public policies is even advisable and recommended. So joint implementation of projects is very important. Therefore, I'm very pleased to see your presence at the event today. Talking about the challenges of AI impressions is very important, and you are very important interlocutors in this discussion. I hope that the event will provide us the mutual benefit of understanding what AI is, how to apply it in a rational way, and what opportunities it can bring to us. Thank you sincerely for your presence and wish you a successful event.
Dziękuję, Sylwia. Thank you very much for joining us. It was a great pleasure to hear your input. I think you made very, very many important points. Now, since we have our European Grand Prix de la Chanson, we are happy to welcome our colleagues from Croatia. And we have in the call Mislav, who is president of CroAI, one of the founding members of the European AI Forum. Welcome. We're very happy to have you here. And you will be explaining and talking to us about something very important apart from policy. So going into practice, going into education. Thank you, Mislav, for joining. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much. I hope you can hear me well.
Yes, works perfectly.
Okay,
loud and clear.
That's awesome. So I would say that here at CroAI, we were like constantly thinking like, what's the best way how we can actually create value for our community. And one of the things we realized is that education is in very challenging times right now. So like latest research are saying that the world is changing so fast that basically curriculums should actually change every 18 months. And no country in the world or no educational system in the world can actually follow that pace at this moment. So it's even hard for professors and for individual schools actually to be in line with like the latest things that are actually happening and so on. Why professors cannot teach students about AI, about digital transformation and so on? Because no one taught them, and there are no programs how to keep them up to date. So what we realized is that what best schools in the world are doing right now, they're changing the paradigm. So they're changing the paradigm where the professor is not anymore the one who actually teaches. The professor is now someone who actually facilitates the learning process. How? By actually teaching students the right mindset and then bringing the best experts from the field, from the industry, and so that they can actually give lectures. And then the professor, together with students, asks right questions, learns about like what's new, what's happening right now, and so on. So when we realized that that's something that makes a lot of sense, we asked ourselves, okay, when will that happen in Croatia? Like when will our government, when will our educational system be able actually to adapt to such a big change? And then we realized that it just happened too late. And we didn't want to wait. So what happened in Croatia is that the community actually self-organized. And Croatian AI Association is someone who actually facilitates that process, where we have members, like people who are experts in different fields. It's not only like engineering, it's not only science. We are also looking for, I personally believe that the age of engineers and ages of scientists in artificial intelligence, it's like over. Now we are in the age of like humanists, like people who can actually design the coexistence of machines and people in a good way. So we think that a doctor who wants to use AI, a lawyer who wants to use an AI, a teacher who wants to use an AI, they're far more valuable than engineer who actually uses AI, because we already have engineers. So we are actually bringing these people, we call them heroes, from different industries who are trying to actually apply new technologies, who are learning new recipes, how these new technologies can actually create value in their fields, to share their experiences, to share best practices, to share what they learned and so on. And the main goal is actually to inspire people and to inspire them to have this mindset and to embrace the change, because right now we are in a time where things are not, there are a lot of unknowns at the moment. No one knows what will really happen with AI. No one knows how things will stabilize again and so on. And we see that there are like two types of people in the world right now. There are people who are right now waiting to see like what works. And there are people who are actually experimenting to find what works. And we think that this is something that could create even greater inequality in the world. Why? Because like many countries that are right now behind, like in economical advancement and technological advancement, they just don't have enough courage, they don't have enough confidence to be the ones who are actually experimenting. And the countries that are actually leading, their main idea right now is actually how to stay ahead. And we realize that here in Croatia, we don't want to be in a passive mode anymore. We want to move into the active mode. We want to be also the ones who think that we can actually build new products, build new services based on artificial intelligence that we can actually then share with the world and then create a better environment for ourselves, people around us, for our country, for like the European Union. And in order for something like that to happen, we need to start by educating people about the right mindset. saying, okay, AI is a tool. It can be used for good things. It can be used for bad things. There are no recipes. No regulation can actually help us at this moment because there are too many unknowns. But what can help us is actually if we have this mindset of let's try things in a responsible way. Let's not wait. Let's not wait for someone else in some other countries, in some other part of the world to build something that actually works, to start selling it, because then in the end, we'll only be consumers. We'll be only customers. We'll be paying for that service, for that coverage that someone else actually had. So we created a program where we are bringing these people to high schools, to elementary schools, to universities, and we have amazing numbers in terms of engagement, in terms of like how people are actually reacting. Why? Because a lot of these people who are experts are really willing to share their expertise. Schools, professors who are organizing that, they feel like proud that they can actually, they're happy because there is an association, that there is someone who is actually helping bring these people to talk with their kids, to talk with their professors. Kids, very often, only people that they meet are actually people, are the professors, are their parents, are their actually neighbors, and so on. Very often, these people are not technically savvy. They're not entrepreneurs. They're not scientists. They're not actually leveraging this new technology that will actually shape the future of our world. And when they meet these people, they get like, they're really inspired. They're inspired really to try things. We also have like a exceptionally good response from media, who is basically, and these people are just saying, wow, you're reinventing the educational system. We have a good response from local communities because everyone now feels an energy. It's like a movement. We don't want to just sit. We want to have an active part. We don't want to wait for regulators. We don't want to wait for ministries. We don't want to wait for politicians. We'll just take things into our own hands and we'll do something. And we hope that based on this first year of how we are doing it, based on our experience, that you'll be able to systemize things and then formalize these things into something that will be scaled to a much higher level, that will reach even to more people and so on. I think that we'll learn like one very important lesson. It's that talking about technology only to people who are into technology actually doesn't create that much value anymore, because they already have access to all the information. Talking about it to general public, talking about it to school professors and so on makes a lot of sense. Why? Because no one else is actually doing it, and because of that, they feel scared. They feel afraid that the change is going to be too big. That's not something that they can actually learn, and so on. So I think when we see the results, and when we see that when we talk with these people, that we gave them enough courage that they actually can continue something like that, that creates like a lot of value. So we are now looking for a way how to actually do it on an even bigger scale. We have like several thousand people or several thousand students that are right now were part of these lectures. And we want to actually come in a situation where it's tens of thousands. And for a country that size of Croatia, that's already a lot of people. And I think that, and then the good thing for it was like that there always needs to be something, if we inspire you, that you start thinking about AI. A lot of these people, a lot of these students, a lot of these professors will ask, like, what's the next step? And what we learned that the good next step is that you join this AI community. And this AI community is not about telling you what's right and what's wrong. This AI community is about you spending time with people who are also a little bit geeky. they want to build stuff, they want to find, ask the right questions, they want to find solutions and so on. And I'm traveling a lot, and now I'm spending a lot of time in US, and I'm comparing always like the mindset that people in US have with the mindset that we in Europe have right now. And I think I really respect our core values. I really respect the way how we actually treat people in European Union and so on. But I think that we could also profit a little bit from like more, if we are a little bit braver, if we are a little bit more courageous, if we are a little bit more thinking like, oh, let's build something and then let's sell it to the rest of the world. And that's the part of the magic that's actually missing right now in Croatia, and I would say in general in EU. And that's the thing that we are trying actually to solve right now in Croatia. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Mislav. I think you made a very important point, in particular at the end, so that it's kind of like not about right or wrong. It's about being together in this AI journey and in this AI boat. And it's also about being brave also in these times, and making the best of it and defining the path going forward. So thank you for this very important call to action, and also for just doing it, you know, just going out there, onboarding people, raising awareness, spreading the knowledge, which I think is awesome. I think you call it Croatian model, right?
Yeah. That's like a Croatian educational model that we are actually trying to reinvent. And I think it's like very important that we all take it very seriously, because there's like a really big discrepancy between like what's possible and what's cutting edge right now and what our kids or students are actually being taught in schools. And it's coming into situations where a lot of companies are right now saying like, it doesn't even make sense for our future employees to go to the school anymore because they're just wasting time. And I think that it's very important that we see these signals that they're really happening, that we think that it's something that's really important, and that we do something. Because if we don't provide good foundations for our future citizens, they'll be actually behind people around the world who are actually more progressive at this moment.
Definitely, yes. I thank you very much for this important initiative and also sharing it here live with all the audience. So I hope you inspire participants, other countries in Europe to do similar things, and to also very much remind ourselves it's not only about regulation, it's very much also about education and the future of education.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Mislav, for joining us.
Yes, I want to just say, if anyone is actually interested in actually doing something similar in their countries, like please reach out. Like we created, like after all this experience, we created something like a recipe, actually how to do it, actually how to prepare the event, how to actually make sure that it's actually efficient, scalable, that it doesn't cost too much money, that how to make sure that everybody's happy, that the reach is maximized and so on. And we are actually really willing to share it because we think it's a super important topic. Thank you, Jen, for having me here.
Thank you, Mislav, and thank you also for sharing. We will also distribute your call for cooperation and your contact details to make sure everyone that wants to duplicate, to share, can engage directly with you and CroAI to spread this model and spread education in relation to AI over Europe and beyond also. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Goodbye. Now, after learning about AI education, it is my great pleasure to announce our next keynote speaker from Lithuania. And our next speaker is the Vice Minister in the Lithuanian Ministry of Economics, and I'm trying to pronounce it correctly, Eglė Makevičiūtė. Welcome on stage. Thank you for joining us. The floor is yours.
Hi there. Let me start with a few questions. In the context of a global AI race, where do we stand as Europe? How does responsible digitalization, if you will, blend with the promotion of digital innovations in Europe? Do we have enough space, regulatory space for innovation? Do we pay enough attention to the human-centric approach when it comes to AI development in Europe? Some questions already have very specific answers. Some answers already have specific titles, such as an AI Act, while some questions remain rhetorical. Let me share Lithuania's approach. Lithuania's vision is to be open for creators. We see the need for clear regulation and see the potential in the Artificial Intelligence Act, but we also recognize the importance in application of the AI Act in such a way that does not hamper the development of our very own European ecosystem. We cannot talk about digital sovereignty without space for digital innovations. In Lithuania, AI is one of the main directions of the National Digitalization Program for the upcoming decade. In Lithuania, the ecosystem is constantly growing. Numbers speak louder than words. Currently, more than 100 companies are engaged in developing AI products and services, including around 40 companies that create world-class products and services. In addition to a range of financial incentives aimed at developing our ecosystem, let me also highlight two very important players in our AI field. The first being the Lithuanian AI Association and their work. The second, one of the most important initiatives that help bring innovative change in our public sector, GovTech Lab. GovTech Lab Lithuania helps the public sector identify challenges that can be solved by AI and other emerging technologies. It engages startups and SMEs to create innovative solutions and accelerates teams in the GovTech field. We're happy to see other countries and international organizations learning from our experience, and we're eager to share further. May the lessons learned and achievements celebrated here today inspire us all to continue pushing the boundaries of AI innovation, promoting collaboration across border, and building a future that harnesses the power of AI to benefit all of the humanity. Most importantly, do not shy away from asking uncomfortable questions. This is very important too.
Well, thank you, Vice Minister, for your insight, and thank you also to the Association for Artificial Intelligence in Lithuania, who does such great work for us here in the European AI Forum. For example, the General Manager, Linas, is our back office at the moment, is responsible that everything technical works fine, which he definitely does. And thank you, Linas, and all of the group to Vilnius for your constant support here. Guys, the next input is from Poland. And so we are moving around in Europe again. And the title is The Conundrum Steering Towards a Future of Ethical and Transparent Technology. And we are very happy that we have from Renier Axel Springer, the Head of Public Affairs, Damian Flisak. The floor is yours.
Ladies and gentlemen, dear fellow AI enthusiasts. Since I represent the publishing industry, let me begin with a little joke from my field. A journalist once asked an AI, "What's the secret to great journalism?" The AI replied, "Well, it's simple. Just let humans do the writing." I am very pleased to see the creation of a new organization that will support an honest and transparent development of cutting-edge technologies. By this, I also mean artificial intelligence that is designed to assist and support humans, not replace them. It is very difficult to talk about regulatory development without excessive pathos, but the changes that are taking place certainly represent the next stage of human development. Personally, I consider it a great privilege to be part of this revolution, and I intend to take advantage of it. New technologies can support, develop, teach, entertain, but they can also eliminate, harm, or manipulate. Of course, there is no need to fear visions of Terminator-style artificial intelligence because the algorithm itself does no harm. Harm can be done by humans through the application of AI. I have great respect for the steps taken by the European Union bodies to regulate artificial intelligence. I think it is an excellent idea to put people their well-being and human values at the center of the new regulations. I hope that the approach taken will have an impact on regulations in other regions of the world. In this context, the so-called Brussels effect is often mentioned. I think we should not deviate from this path. Even if there are claims that the regulations in their current form might cause the world's largest technology companies to leave Europe. In my opinion, there is no alternative to the vision of artificial intelligence subordinate to humans. Putting the emerging technologies into the form of laws and describing them is really not an easy task. The language that lawyers use to describe this phenomena is firmly anchored in the realities of the analog world. Okay, at most in the reality of Internet 1.0. Concepts like general purpose AI, generative AI foundation models were completely unknown to the law until now. The scale of the difficulty is demonstrated by the very attempt to define artificial intelligence. Is its scope covered by the concept of a computer program? Probably not. If its essence is autonomous decision-making, what exactly is autonomy? Finally, how to deal with the phenomenon of the AI black box, which makes certain decisions and actions in a way that is increasingly incomprehensible to humans. Certainly, in many applications of artificial intelligence, the opacity of AI will not matter very much. If it helps find an effective cure for pancreatic cancer, no one will ask how it was discovered, right? In many areas, however, it will make a difference. Resume verification, bank scoring, automated exam grading, or the use of AI in law enforcement. In these cases, the transparency of AI operation is critical because it affects our rights and freedoms. The opposite of this situation is the concept of explainable AI. It emphasizes the need for algorithms to provide understandable explanations for their decisions. Ensuring that AI systems are transparent and accountable can help prevent unfair or biased outcomes. The creative industries are particularly interested in the development of so-called generative artificial intelligence. It is capable of generating images, graphics, photos with quality no worse than human quality, with virtually no quantitative limitations and at unprecedented speed. It is important to emphasize that AI does not create content, but generates it. Only humans can create, at least in the sense of copyright law. Artificial intelligence is intelligence precisely because of the information contained in the data on which it is trained. And this data is nothing more than the legacy of all humanity and the sum of its wisdom. Artificial intelligence is smart with our intelligence. That's why the training phase of AI algorithms is so important, because it is done on collections from all over the internet. It also includes data sets that are protected by law, not only copyright. One of the primary vectors for the advancement of artificial intelligence should be respect for existing law. Sounds obvious? After all, artificial intelligence is not an end in itself. It is the added value it will bring to people. This is how I understand the slogan, Fair AI. Part of fair AI is also to expand the conditions for fair competition on the internet. We should make sure that access to the most advanced technologies is as broad as possible so that small companies can benefit from them and are not just at the mercy of the dominant players. I represent the newspapers publishing sector on a daily basis. I am well aware of the offensive of AI, which poses perhaps the greatest challenge to the media in its entire history. And yet, the media must survive. They simply must. Free media empowers free decision-making and is a pillar of democracy. And again, someone might say this is excessive pathos. Not necessarily. Recent history has provided many examples of the devastating effects disinformation or manipulation of public opinion can have on democracy. Manipulation of information affects the choices people make. Human-made media is one of the last safeguards for verified and reliable information, ensuring that AI systems are developed ethically and responsibly not only protects individuals' rights, but also fosters trust in AI technologies and promotes their sustainable development. Ensuring fairness in AI is crucial for several reasons. First, social impact. Fair AI helps prevent negative consequences such as discrimination, bias, and social exclusion. Second, trust and public acceptance. When people believe that AI systems are designed and implemented fairly, they are more likely to support and adopt these technologies in their daily lives. Legal and ethical compliance. If we all stick to the established rules, we increase legal security. Economic benefits. Fair AI means more inclusive and sustainable economic growth by ensuring that AI technologies benefit a broader range of individuals and communities. This can help reduce inequalities and promote social mobility. Innovation and competitiveness. Fair AI promotes innovation by encouraging the development of AI systems that address diverse needs and challenges. It leads to the creation of new products, services, or business models. To sum up, fair AI matters because it is essential to realizing the full potential of AI technologies while minimizing potential harm. In preparing my speech, I also used artificial intelligence, specifically ChatGPT 4.0. Did I do this because I'm not capable of writing a speech of several minutes? No, of course not. I did it out of curiosity. I did it because I am learning to work with AI, because I want to adapt to the challenges posed by the latest technologies. I did it because I don't want artificial intelligence to decide my fate. I want to be the one who decides whether I need AI or not. Besides, the better I get to know the tools of AI, the better the AI forum can use me. I admit that the text generated by ChatGPT required a great deal of work on my part, and the final result is actually more mine than AI's. On the other hand, what I took over without change was the classic knock-knock joke. Knock, knock. Who's there? AI. AI who? AI thinks you should let me write the headlines, but don't worry, humans will always have the final say. Funny, isn't it? Well, okay, maybe not so funny, but let's hope for a future where humans have the final say. Also thanks to the efforts of the AI Forum. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for joining us and also for your fresh and unique approach. I really like the joke you cracked when beginning your keynote. Now I have the pleasure to welcome our next speaker, Marie-Aude. She is a scientific advisor to Huub and CEO of Data West. Thank you, Marie-Aude, for joining us. It is a great pleasure to have you.
Hello. I'm sorry, I can't share my screen for the presentation.
1 second. Linus, maybe you can shortly assist, because Marie-Aude will speak to us today about generative AI, in particular about a study she and Huub have done on recommendations and implications. And since generative AI is a very, very hot topic, we're keen to find out your conclusions. Does it already work?
No. Can I send you the presentation?
We will just maybe try once more. I think Linus is working in the background to give you the necessary rights to share your presentation.
Yeah, I have the right from your side, but it's from my side, which I have some problems with my computer, so it's really not possible to share it.
Okay. In this case, yes, then maybe just send the presentation. Do you have the contact email address? I think you have it. And I think we'll just start with a small discussion on the generative AI topic until we manage to bring your slides up for the audience.
Okay. Thank you very much. I'm really sorry for that.
Of course, no problem. We have a lot of experience with webinars and all the technical thing, I think, and the standard questions are, can you hear me? Can you see me? And do you see my screen? So.
Okay.
So before we have silence in the room, and Marie-Aude will send hopefully very soon the presentation and some feedback perhaps from you, Jeannette. We just watched many of our friends from Europe discussing AI and the implementation it has. What was your main solutions that you heard or interesting thoughts?
The question is addressed to me, right?
Yes, definitely, because the other one is still sending the presentation, and
I
I think your name is Jeannette.
So generative AI, solutions, recommendations, and everything. I think generative AI is an important topic, and the solutions. So I've been talking a lot and being involved a lot in dialogue with creative people. So kind of like voice artists, from film, from music, from drawing. And what I see here is actually, yes, so kind of like the photographic moment where there is quite some fear that art will become different, artists will become obsolete. But what I see in the industry is that actually it's an augmented process. So kind of like the things that amaze people and really stay in your mind, it is a combination of human creativity and of course the tools we use nowadays to experiment, to transcend. What I think is important is respecting rights. So the copyrights issue, I think, is a very pressing one, but also how to develop these tools and to make progress without infringing those rights. How we will make that balance, I hope we find a solution, and we're definitely working on this with many focus groups. But Daniel, maybe you want to share your views on some topics here.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, I think that was a very interesting part. I really enjoyed the part from Crow AI, what Mislav said, because what's really interesting when you visit Crow AI in Zagreb, which I can only recommend to do, is that how active they are in their outreach. And the thing is that also that we have to see is that there are different things the different associations are doing. So we as KI Bundesverband, we are more on the policy and the regulation side, but also we are in connection with our members, of course, but we have other priorities in the sense that we think that talking to government is important, and the Crow AI way, which is fascinating and has so huge possibilities in interacting with education and stuff like that, that we can adopt perhaps also in our German AI association. So this part was very interesting. I thought also what was, I think, common sense in all the inputs from the AI Act was that it has to be a realistic and possible way of regulating. And that we don't hinder innovation, and we don't hinder the possibility of the European AI scene of getting into the AI business, especially in generative AI or in foundation models, where, as you have seen in the input of Philipp Hacker, that there's 73% of the large language models are from the US, and Europe plays at the moment not a big role in it. There are exceptions, for example, Aleph Alpha in Germany, but also very interesting new startups, Nionic from Berlin, but we also see interesting things from France and also other countries. So let's have a look to Jeannette. Is the presentation, has it arrived to us in the Lithuanian Broadcasting Center?
Yes, 1 second. I'm just checking if it went out, but it should arrive shortly.
So Linas, we are really hopeful that you could perhaps, can we have a little update from your side? If it is there, you can perhaps unmute yourself and give us an indication if the presentation. Linas?
Presentations should be sent, and we should start in a minute or two, so in a second.
Okay.
So in a second, that is good. So the electronic messaging service called email works, which is fascinating. So just to get to the next one, after Marie-Aude, there is Evangelia Markidu, who is already in our waiting room from the European Commission, also talking about the advances in AI, and we are really looking forward also to her input. After that, we have still one EU commissioner from Lithuania talking to us, and then from the European Parliament, Eva Meidel. So we are in the final stretches of the 7th edition of the European AI Forum, and we're really looking forward in getting this. So that I'm not monologizing here, I would say, Marie-Aude, perhaps you can start, perhaps 2 seconds without the presentation, and then we kick it in, as soon as we have them, because one can't take too long because we have strict timing rules here in the European AI Forum. And Marie-Aude, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you very much. So my name is Marie-Aude. I'm a scientific advisor at Huub Francia, which is a non-profit association driving and federating European AI initiative. And I'm also CIO of DataVest, which is a very small consulting company in big data and artificial intelligence. So I will talk about the work we've done with Huub Francia on ChatGPT. And well, some technological ruptures, such as the democratization of computers or internet in the past year, have induced many major changes for society, economics, and politics. And this is clearly the case for generative artificial intelligence, with impressive diffusion of ChatGPT since its announcement in November 2022. Never a breakthrough in AI has captivated the general public to such an extent. This is due to many reasons, of course, ease of use, like a search engine, the impressive results obtained for text generation, and of course, the media coverage. So for these reasons, Huub Francia decided to launch a fast-tracking working group to understand what's behind the technology usage and impacts, and to provide some recommendation. So we had more than 100 participants on board from 60 companies and institutions, which participate to produce an executive report published in May. So I will briefly present the results in this talk, so the usage and the impact. So next slide, please. So usage can be classified. We propose a non-exhaustive typology of possible use cases of ChatGPT. The main usage is content generation. So for generating new content, such as press articles, newsletters, of books. So this is useful for companies, or for example, for teachers or journalists that need to produce a large amount of content in a short period of time. Also for writing assistant, for example, for email response reports and so on, and also for code generation. The next usage is about classification, so to classify text into different categories, or to analyze opinions in text to determine if they are positive, negative, or neutral. The next one is summarizing. So you can summarize long text to speed up their understanding. And then translation, for translating text from one language to another one. And this can be easily applied for programming language. So to translate code from a programming language toward another one. So we have many benefits like time reduction, quality, reduce cognitive overload. So for example, time reduction is estimated to 50% for code writing. So examples of time saving can also be found in the medical domain, for example, for radiologists, or to capture patients' symptoms. So benefits are multiple, and ChatGPT can be very useful. For example, there is a famous example in the health domain where ChatGPT helped a patient to detect a misdiagnostic. So the patient used ChatGPT to enter his symptoms, and then he shows the result to his doctor, who sent him to the hospital without any delay. But these benefits should not hide the risks. So ChatGPT can have what we call hallucination and generate false content. So famous example is those of a lawyer who submitted a case law provided by ChatGPT to the court with citation of false generated similar cases. So next slide, please. So this technology and the tools on generative artificial intelligence can have many positive and negative impacts in terms of political, geopolitical, economic, societal, environmental impact. So from a political and economic point of view, the competition is extremely intense among tech companies to dominate the generative AI market, and regulation has become a major challenge for states, and we have to find a balance between the regulation and the competitivity. At the enterprise level, the non-adoption of this technology can lead to be less competitive, but the risk inherent to its use must be minimized by the means of precise rules, and also by training all employees. So I will just give a brief focus on jobs and education. So first, concerning jobs, recent analysis indicates that generative AI will threaten overall 300 million jobs worldwide, mostly through the replacement of humans on specific tasks. It is estimated that around 20% of jobs and at least 50% of their tasks are impacted by this kind of technology, considering their current capabilities and also anticipating the integration of this technology into software. So this analysis should be taken into caution because, well, if we consider in the past, according to economist Schumpeter process of creative destruction, new innovations lead to decline in the activity based on old innovation, but are followed by a phase of economical growth and employment. So it was estimated that 1/3 of labor productivity gains are due to this process of creative destruction. So we can say that rather than destroying jobs, generative artificial intelligence will reshape jobs by automating some tasks and creating new jobs, like prompt engineer, for example. So ChatGPT will improve productivity by performing some tasks in a complementary way. Regarding education, the question is to ban or not the use of ChatGPT. And here the answer is clearly no, you shouldn't ban the use of generative AI. Why? Because generative AI can be considered as a cognitive support for students, but they should be aware of the current limitation and they have to do fact-checking. So the challenge is to develop critical thinking and to complement the results provided by ChatGPT or generative AI with original ideas. So education organization faced with the possibility of massive cheating, and we'll have to start thinking about how to deal smartly with this new resource and by establishing clear rules. As an example, for example, for thesis, you can modify the rules and explicitly state that the work must be a personal creation. So next slide. So we, in this report, we have some recommendation. The first recommendation is to implement massive training actions for employees and for everyone, for citizens also. The second one is you shouldn't prohibit the use of generative AI, but put it in place clear and operational rules. So prohibit only unacceptable actions, but allow all the added value activities, but carefully. You have to protect confidential data and to not introduce them in the prompts. Always check the results produced by ChatGPT to avoid false generated content. Contribute also to the development of sovereign solution, open source if possible, accessible to small businesses in order to ensure the privacy and sovereignty. Work also to ensure that this solution allows the development of vertical solution by business units for company and with the control of the confidential data of the companies. So next slide, please. And this is the last one. So as a conclusion, will we reach the age of reason? For me, of course, the answer is certainly yes. When the technology will be widely adopted, we had many examples in the past for which a technology has been massively adopted by companies and citizens. This is, for example, the case of personal computers and the internet. So artificial intelligence has taken, the generative AI has taken artificial intelligence beyond the realm of specialists. So now citizens, journalists, teachers, politicians, philosophers are all affected by the growth of this technology. And it is therefore essential to educate people at all levels to make a smart and reasonable use of these tools, far from alarmist speeches, but also in a non-naive way, considering recommendations such as those made in this report. And then we continue with another fast-track working group since 1 month in order to produce other reports and recommendations. Thank you very much.
Marie-Aude, merci beaucoup, and thank you so much. We really appreciate also the contribution of Hub France IA to the European AI Forum. Please say everyone to Hub France IA bonjour from our part, and we really appreciate working with you together, and also hence the European cooperation in artificial intelligence with our friends from Hub France IA. Merci
Thank
beaucoup,
you so much.
Marie-Aude. Bonne journée.
Thank you so much.
À bientôt.
Bye.
So, dear friends, now we are moving quickly from France to Luxembourg, I would guess, because Evangelia Marquidou should be in her offices or wherever she is at the moment. And from the European Commission, Evangelia, can you hear me, see me, and hear me?
Hello, everybody. Hello, Daniel. Yes, I can see and hear you, and looking forward to at least meet you and the participants online from sunny Luxembourg.
Yeah, sunny Luxembourg it is, and Evangelia works at the European Commission, and also we work are of course in exchange about the topics of large language and multimodal models with the European Commission, and we appreciate the good working relationship that we have there. Evangelia, the floor is yours. What is the European Commission doing in the very important parts of AI, which is at our forefront? The floor is yours.
Thank you very much. I think I will try to share the slides, and I hope there will be not too many black boxes, which usually Zoom is happening with Zoom. Let me see now. Okay.
Okay, we are looking, so there should be in some seconds we should see something. I'm very optimistic.
Me too.
Yeah, so sharing is caring. So do we have, or does Zoom has, yeah, that is perfect. This looks amazing. And there you are now in presentation mode, and then we can see everything you got. So
do you see now the full screen?
But we see now yes, now it's perfect. Perfect,
good. So hello everybody. Yes, as Daniel said, my name is Evangelia Marquidou, and I work here at the European Commission in Luxembourg, dealing with robotics and artificial intelligence, innovation and excellence. And we are 2 units in DG Connect that deal with AI. Our sister unit deals with the AI Act, and we are dealing with actually what we call the ecosystem of excellence. And I will give a very brief overview of what we're trying to do here at the European Commission, and specifically at DG Connect. So our objective is really to make AI made in Europe. So AI made in Europe standing for human-centered and trustworthy AI. And we have this kind of 2 ecosystems. So that's the European approach to AI with the ecosystem of excellence that we are dealing in here in our unit. And of course, the ecosystem of trust that includes also the AI Act, the Draft AI Act. And of course, I mean, when it comes about AI, it's also about AI for good. So, I mean, what type of societal challenges can AI kind of tackle? So we're really looking for also how it actually improves also the life of the European citizens. And there, of course, there are the obvious kind of sectors and areas which are healthcare and also the environment, but also agriculture and agri-food. Now, you all know about the AI Act. I assume you talked about it earlier. This is our unit that deals with it, but you are very, very well aware that it's really a risk-based approach that we proposed. You're also aware that now there are the trilogues, and that is also a big chance for you and your stakeholders to really still kind of influence and provide informed information and evidence to form informed decisions also by the Council, but also by the European Parliament. So this is a chance to you and the stakeholders to still kind of raise your voice and say what is important. But what I would like to talk to you about is also something that we have elaborated and worked together with stakeholders, also academia and industry representatives, but especially with the member states. And that is the coordinated plan on artificial intelligence. And it has key policy objectives. And the ones that are here labeled here in red are the ones where my unit is dealing with. So what we try to do here is to make EU the right place to be and bringing excellence from the lab to the market. So really making sure that innovative ideas from basic research can reach also the market and put everything in place, the enablers to doing so. And we also want to build strategic leadership in sectors, especially critical sectors and high impact sectors for the European Union, such as the climate and environment, health, but also the strategy for robotics in this world of AI. Mobility and agriculture also very keen. I will talk about it later. And the funds that come to fund all of this come from different sources. They come from the Horizon Europe program. I don't know, the ones of you dealing with research, this is the main research vehicle of the European Commission. And we have, of course, the Digital Europe, program, which is the DG Connect's own program to really make sure that we deploy the interesting and the innovative solutions are also being deployed. So from research to deployment. Last but not least is the Recovery and Resilience Facility, where a lot of member states, actually all member states, have profited of that, and they also have to form national strategies based on that. And the national strategies also have to include the digital transition. So AI is incorporated in a lot of them. So this is where the money will come from. And what is this ecosystem of excellence that I talked about earlier? And from the lab to the market, well, we put a lot of instruments in place and tools in place to enable this ecosystem so it becomes a thriving one. And the investment commitments also are coming from the coordinated plan are actually 1 billion per year in EU funding, and hopefully together with other sources as well to reach 20 billion per year to investment at EU level, so including also the member states and also investment from the industry. And of course, we are driven also by policy, and there we have the digital decade targets. And I hope that a lot of you know about the digital decade communication, that by the end of 2030, one of this target, really kind of important target for us, is that by 2030, 75% of European enterprises have taken up AI. So the uptake of AI, because we also see the kind of impact it has on society, but also in economy, is very important. And I'll talk very quickly about those kind of instruments, which are really opportunities also for the community out there, not only academics, but also industry and policy stakeholders to really engage together and work together with. And one of them is the on-demand platform. I hope that some of you have heard at least of this. This is something that we start putting in place in Horizon 2020, so a few years ago, and it really tries to bridge the gap between academia and business in order to collaborate together, but also create visibility of the great research that we are doing. I think there's one thing in Europe that is happening now in the current discussion, is that we kind of ignore where we're really good at, and we do not capitalize enough on where we're good at. So where we're really good at is really the world-class research that we're doing in the areas of AI, including also computer vision. Now is an opportunity to also to capitalize on that and build on that. And this is something that we hope to be able to do with the AI on demand platform. So the current grant agreement, the project that is running and putting it in place, will also is building a common API that will also be put in place by the end of the year. But really the idea behind is really to share resources that have been developed in Europe and exist in Europe, but also to accelerate the access to the research that is out there and provide really this kind of thriving environment to build new cutting edge services. And of course, it's very important us to really showcase and see the great research that we're doing here in Europe, but also showing also through the on-demand platform the trustworthiness of these resources and the ethical design of the AI tools that are already available, but will also increasingly become more available on the AI on-demand platform. Now, there is a call open under the Digital Europe program, the other big program that I told you earlier, and this is the deployment of the on-demand platform. So the one that I just showed you is focused on research, but we also want to attract and focus and target public administration, but also industry, so including startups and SMEs. And this is a call where, I mean, interested participants can also participate. It's a coordination support action. It has a budget of 28 million, and it's really to develop and deploy this in AI on-demand platform and really address and provide also financial support to third parties and also SMEs and startups, but really to make sure that we have a thriving marketplace around AI in Europe. And now with the current situation, of course, with generative AI, this is an opportunity to also even target this kind of area. So this is something that we hope will be one important stone and building block of this kind of ecosystem, thriving ecosystem that I talked earlier. Then, of course, we have, which is very important because it's not only the research and developing interesting ideas, then we also have to test and experiment with those and validate actually how actually you can use them, how easy it is to put them also out in the market. So the trustworthiness and the kind of robustness of those kind of innovative ideas is being tested and will be kind of can be tested at the testing and experimentation facilities that we have put in place, and we are co-financing together with the member states. So it's a 50-50 financing, and we really want to support these testing experimentation facilities to become really world-class reference technology infrastructures in Europe, addressing the gaps in the value chain from the lab to the market, but also to support the deployment and uptake of those trustworthy AI solutions. And in the future, it will also support, of course, the implementation of the AI Act. We really want to support the European innovative technology providers and also the providers of those AI solutions that they can reach the market together with the member states. The decision was made that the first set of this testing experimentation facilities will focus on manufacturing, healthcare, agri-food, and smart cities and communities. Those facilities are being put in place, and they were launched in January. The official launch was last week as well in Denmark. Although they will be in various places in Europe, they are open to all innovative developers and innovators around Europe, so everybody can travel and go there. There are specific schemes put in place for SMEs as well, so I would also urge you to have a look at those. There is also a website. I can also provide the link later, but this is an important kind of building block in making sure that excellence reaches the market as well, so from the lab to the market. Another important role is, of course, the research. So I'm going back to the research, and these are the kind of what we would call the pillars of the AI Lighthouse. These are the networks of AI research excellence centers that exist of Europe at European level and should bring together all the national research excellence centers that are happening around Europe. Either they exist already or they're being put in place now through the various national AI strategies. So the idea of those networks of excellence centers are to bring together the various research excellence centers at national level and really work together towards the kind of cutting edge research, but also for them important for this NOEs, how we like to call them, is to really increase the attractiveness of Europe for scientists. So to bring also scientists outside of Europe to Europe and really attract them and retain this talent in Europe. Of course, it's important here to ensure the leadership in these key strategic research topics that we have and encourage, of course, the transfer, the tech transfer, which is very important between academia and industry. So the majority, and actually all of them, have a strong also industry representation in the consortia. The current set that we have for the moment focus, as you can see, on trustworthy AI, excellence in machine learning, safe and secure AI, intelligent robotics, human-centric AI, and a more sectorially one approach, AI for media, is really focusing on AI for society and the media industry. All of them are also being coordinated, but here is really important to move a progress in this kind of world-class expertise and research challenge that they have focused, but also collaborate together very closely with industry and make sure that the tech transfer happens, and also make sure that they build up an interesting PhD program to attract the talent, but also to keep the talent in Europe, but also collaborate in this kind of exchange scheme with the PhDs, also with industry. Last but not least, and this is important in the context here, is the public-private partnership that we have. It's called ADRA, the AI Data and Robotics Partnership. It's really important to mobilize the community and define the kind of strategic orientations and objectives it wants to target, find the investment, and then implement also through research, but also to the deployment activities, this kind of strategic research, development and innovation agenda and deployment agenda. So here, this is our counterpart. The European Commission is in a public-private partnership with the private side of this, which is the ADRA association, and they are our main kind of counterpart with whom we communicate and who actually with the street provide their input to the work program that we are funding under the Horizon Europe. So they will also become now more important when it comes now, of course, to tackle the current challenges we have in Europe, namely in building the capacities that we have to build European kind of large AI models that also kind of not only can compete, but that really kind of focus on our European values, so on human centricity, but also on trustworthiness of AI. So ADRA, the AI Data and Robotics Partnership, last week also presented to the public the strategic orientations, and also, I mean, encourage interested stakeholders to join ADRA, because through ADRA, you can also shape what we are going to fund, but also how we are going to fund the remaining budget that we have. This partnership has a total budget of 2.6 billion euros. 1.3 billion come from the European Commission, and 1.3 billion will come from the private side. Now, a glimpse into what we are looking for to fund in 25-27 is really what we call, and those of you aware of the AI Act, the Draft AI Act, a European General Purpose AI System. So we really want to focus on trustworthy large foundation models that will also include generative AI models made in Europe, and also that can be used by the variety of sectors and areas, so also for manufacturing and healthcare, but also, and this is very important in the current setting because now the focus is on large language models, we really focus on all the kind of areas, and we really believe it is important, after also having discussed with the researchers, stakeholders and industry, that we need to be able, these models need to be able to handle multiple sources of data, so multimodality beyond what is currently being discussed, so not just text and vision or images, but really going beyond and really also looking into audio, video, sensor, Internet of Things, but also genomics and all the kind of data that can derive from the healthcare sector. So this is what we will focus. And also we want to see an improvement of the learning approaches that we have. So also adversarial training, transfer learning, federated learning. But very important for us here is really the European aspect, and also in line with the AI Act, we want to focus on transparency and the efficiency of the models that are going to be developed. Also important here is to looking also into the future, going beyond the current generation of models into what we call the cognitive AI, so combining symbolic and data-driven approaches. And also very important, because it's not just the AI Act, there's also the Data Act, that we can develop tools that are enable European industry, but also European research to build systems that are compliant by design. And because we are dealing also with robotics here, and I think the current wave of generative AI shows also a big potential, and knowing also that we will have a shortage of skilled workers in the future that will increase dramatically, it is very important to look also into building smart autonomous robots. So these are the visions that we have worked together with the AI Data and Robotics Partnership, and this will be also now being elaborated further, and we will also have to make sure that it really mirrors also the needs that we have in Europe from academia, but also from industry. Now, something that I would like to say, it's very important here, is really collaboration. I mean, we've reached a moment in time where we really have to collaborate together and not just criticize what's missing and what we need to further kind of improve. So we really, now is the moment to really collaborate, bring the diverse perspectives together and really come up with new ideas and approaches. But also it's important to access new resources now in this collaboration, that in our kind of, I wouldn't say siloed thinking, but in our kind of fragmented national approaches, our endeavors are missing at the moment. And we believe that, and at least me, I believe that through collaboration, we will really reach a faster innovation and solve problems faster. And of course, important to expand our current network. We see, and this is where the AI Data and Robotics Partnership shows us as well, the convergence is really important, because you bring different perspectives, but you expand your network and also the opportunities that you have. So I would close my my presentation with this. I mean, it's a free photo. It's the elephant in the room. Of course, there are many aspects that I have not addressed, and there are many aspects that probably in your presentations and your talks have not yet addressed. This is why I think it's important to bring the different perspectives together. Something that I believe is very important here is skills, and I saw that also in the previous presentation it was addressed. It's very important to do the skills development, but not just skills development in technical skills. I think what we really have to build also is about also skills that, I mean, look into also the innovative mindset. We have a lot of innovative ideas that result from research, but Europe's academia, I think, does not have this innovative mindset to really then build the bridge and then actually turn this innovative idea into a product. So there's a lot about creativity and collaboration here. And I think what is also important is, I mean, we are now probably in a room, most of us here in Europe, white, privileged, and I think AI is not just for us, AI is for everybody. So we also have to make sure that it's diversity is addressed and fairness and equality. So there are a lot of aspects, as I said, for the AI Act. I hope that you can kind of pull the resources and really come up with also a good proposals into how to improve it. In all of this, moderation, I think, is very important. So really finding, striking the right balance. A lot of you will probably also say access to finance is important. True, this is also something we have to look. It's not just building innovative ideas and building startups. Then we also have to help those startups to scale up in Europe. So all of this have to be addressed. And I would like to invite you all to discuss this with us. And having said that, thank you very much. I probably went over time. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Evangelia. We really appreciate your input from the European Commission and your call to action. I really like the elephant in the room. And we're really looking forward in 2023 as an organization, as an established organization in Brussels, working with you together. Thank you so much for your time. Many greetings to sunny Luxembourg, and sunny Luxembourg left us there. Thank you so much, dear friends. So we are now in the final stretch of the 7th edition of the European AI Forum, but don't leave us just yet, because we are now having video statements from heavy hitters of the European policy scene. And first of all, I would like to introduce Eva Meidel, Member of Parliament for the EPP. And the floor is yours.
Dear participants and guests of the European AI Forum, it's a pleasure to once again be addressing this gathering representing the brightest, but also the best AI industries across Europe. I have to begin by congratulating you on your recent incorporation as an official Brussels-based organization. I think that's a big step in your efforts to continue to lead the discussions around AI, innovation, development, and the uptake across our continent. Knowing that many of you are busy building up your own successful companies, you have a lot to be proud of the influence you have already achieved here in this house. As many of you know, just a few weeks ago, we adopted the position of the European Parliament on the AI Act. We have already begun the so-called trilogue negotiations, which are done within the Parliament, the Council, which is the Member States, and the European Commission. And the way the timeline goes is that we expect to finalize this process by the end of the year and to adopt the final version of the text by the end of this political mandate. So that would be in early 2024. However, what's important for you is as of when this law will become enforceable, and that will be at some point before 2026, but this is yet to be finalized in our negotiations. I have been the rapporteur for the Industry and Innovation Committee on this file, and I have maintained the same philosophy throughout this negotiation. So let me very briefly walk you through the main 3 or so goals and aims that I have. First of all, we need to make sure that the AI Act does not stifle innovation. Finding this balance has been at the heart of my work, and as many of you know from the conversations we have had, I have stood by this line, but it has not always been easy to keep everyone on this line. So this is why I think we must keep the regulation targeted, has to be flexible, has to be feasible, and most importantly, realistic. If we want to see European companies leading the next wave of industrial AI applications, then we cannot stifle the development of our own companies. And this is, I believe, only in fostering innovation that we will have AI based on the European democratic values. And this is why I have championed the ability to have research and open source exemptions to make sure that we have improved measure for small companies and startups, but also an ambitious approach to regulatory sandboxes. And I'm happy to say that all of these proposals have made it into the European Parliament version that was just adopted. The second thing, I think, by which I stood in this negotiation is instead of playing whack-a-mole and trying to regulate the so-called next big thing, we should aim for an underlying set of principles and mechanisms that are effective for at least the next few years. This means that for true high-risk use cases, we should have risk assessments, data quality checks, governance measures, strong cybersecurity measures, and appropriate transparency and human oversight requirements. But this must all be done in the same time in a proportionate and a feasible way. So the same principle applies to the latest wave, I believe, of generative AI. Many of my colleagues wanted all generative AI to automatically be considered as high risk. Instead, the compromise we have found, I believe, is a good middle ground that places only some preliminary rules in place for foundational models providers. So in this way, Europe still has the potential and the promise to be a leader in general purpose AI. And I believe many of the companies out there today know this as well. The third point and last point is that regulation alone will not be enough. We have to look at other instruments. Those other instruments are linked to international cooperation, to a greater stakeholder involvement, and that's why your permanent presence in Brussels is so important, but also closer dialogue with industry as a whole and other players. We also need, I believe, closer cooperation with our international democratic partners that are becoming more active in this space. Of course, US, UK, Canada, but also Japan, Brazil, and others. Because while we wait for the AI Act to take shape and come into force, we should look to voluntary measures. Some of them have already been announced, like the AI Pact or the AI Code of Conduct, stemming from the G7 Hiroshima process. I say all of this as a real believer in the free market and a supporter of a strong, competitive European AI industry. I want the future development of AI and new technologies to be able to flourish here in Europe. But I also know that in order for us to get there, we need to have social trust. And I believe that the AI Act will be a step to get us there. So this is why I very much look forward to our continuing cooperation. It's been an excellent cooperation, and I very much hope that this conference will be productive. It will have good results, which will help us in our work ahead of us. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Eva Meidel. It was a great pleasure to have you here on the 7th edition of the European AI Forum from Brussels, and we also look very much forward to extend our collaboration and our dialogue. Now I have the pleasure of announcing our next speaker, Virginijus Sinkevicius from the European Commission, who will talk to us about the environmental impacts and also some aspects of the AI Act. The floor is yours. Thank you.
Dear ladies and gentlemen, it is a pleasure to greet you all at the European AI Forum again. Statements about artificial intelligence are becoming increasingly common in the public sphere. Just the other day, I have heard a politician say that the threat of AI is more imminent than the threat of climate change. I have to say I remain skeptical. As most of you are probably aware, a while ago, European Commission has introduced legislation on artificial intelligence. Negotiations with the European Parliament should start this year. I'm proud to say that we are once again the first in the world, the trailblazers, the pioneers. Of course, that comes with certain risks. I'm certain that we will have to work and expand on the regulation in the years to come. And I'm certain that the European Union citizens will be the first to enjoy the best protection in the world. The first, but not the last. Eventually, most of the world will follow our lead, as is often the case with our digital regulation. When it comes to the future of artificial intelligence itself, I believe it is filled with more opportunities than risks. There is a reason why the Green Deal and Europe Fit for the Digital Age are the two hallmark programs of this European Commission. Green and digital go hand in hand. We know for a fact that our future prosperity and competitiveness depends on us being able to transition to a new reality. A reality where we are not only users, but also caretakers of our environment. And there are plenty of examples where AI and machine learning can serve our goals. Let me provide you with just a few of them. Apparel, plastic packaging, and bottles are usually shredded at the end of their life to turn them into reusable materials. The shredding is mechanical and simple, but then we need to somehow separate the different streams of waste. And nowadays, it is often done with the help of machine learning. This ensures that we can reuse more, manufacture more, and in general, do more with less. Another example, precision farming. There is already a global market for precision farming tools that is rapidly growing. We see examples of more efficient monitoring of plants and crops. Thanks to deep learning, digital tools can help spot diseases or insects better. It can be used to ensure optimal nutrients and humidity for the soil. A third example is related to our own Copernicus program, developed by the European Space Agency. Various projects are ongoing to develop machine learning algorithms for weather forecasting, pollution mapping, land mapping from the satellite imagery. It might seem like a small things when viewed separately. However, I encourage you to look at all of them together. Improving circular economy is not merely about waste management. It very much helps economies to be more resilient from supply chain shocks. Today, many countries in Europe see declining numbers of farms and farmers, reducing the labor needed for farming, increasing farming output, using more nature-friendly approaches. It all contributes to our food security and even quality. Having monitoring tools that help us quickly and accurately develop pollution maps will allow us to better safeguard air quality and water quality. In simpler terms, the health of our citizens. These are just 3 examples, and we are still just at the beginning, yet we need every help we can get. This is why the EU is already working on finding the right balance between risk and opportunity. And I'm certain that our journey with artificial intelligence will be very long and fruitful.
Thank you very much. Virginijus Sinkevičius is, of course, the Commissioner for Environment, Ocean and Fisheries, and as such, a member of the European Commission, just to clarify that. Thank you for joining us on stage. And now we had a full-packed day of input and program, and we already arrived, unfortunately, at the almost end. But surely, last but not least, it is my very special honor and pleasure to welcome to the stage Florian Turski, who is the Secretary of State for Digitalization from Austria, which is near and dear and my home country. Mr. Florian Turski, very much welcome here on the stage of the European AI Forum. The floor is yours.
Dear ladies and gentlemen, dear representatives of the AI community, I'm very pleased to be able to speak to you today in this way. The European AI Forum is a great opportunity to exchange ideas with the community and to stay in touch. I congratulate AI Austria, especially you, Clemens Wasner, for the great initiative and the invitation. With the official foundation in mid-May, the community and the industry now have a strong voice as a pan-European AI association. Life is shifting further and further into the digital world. Just as the internet changed society over 50 years ago, AI will now bring about a significant change. How we face this as the European Union, the state, and the individual now needs to be defined. With the European Act on the Regulation of Artificial Intelligence, the European Union is setting a first milestone around the regulation, definition, and approach to artificial intelligence. AI will bring several positive effects. AI application does not only make an important contribution to ensuring the future viability of society and the economy in a modern and interconnected age, but can also help us to tackle major challenges such as climate change. Jobs are not lost, but they will change, that's for sure. The recent developments around ChatGPT and the Chinese AI draft laws show that artificial intelligence needs strong regulation in the European Union and Austria. Strong regulation creates competitive advantage for the location, the entrepreneurs, and also by extension for all users. This development and the generally rapid development of artificial intelligence make it clear that we cannot wait until the beginning of 2025 for European regulation. We want to use AI according to our free and democratic values, and artificial intelligence must not follow any state ideology. I am therefore in favor of the fact that we need a clear regulation in Austria, even before the AI Act comes into force, and thus secure the trust of these systems. I wish you a great discussion and a good exchange.
So,
thank you very much.
Please, sorry.
No, I just wanted to thank
the statement of the minister. Yeah, thank you so much from Austria for this input. As you perhaps know, there's not only discussion about the AI Act, there's also a discussion about the AI Pact, and there is also a discussion about a code of conduct, and there's a discussion about the transatlantic, how can I say, white paper about the use of artificial intelligence. And as we can certainly discuss the value of these papers, I think it seems that AI is one of the major topics about what is going to happen in Europe. And I think we could demonstrate this very good with all the inputs from all over Europe. And to say once again that the European AI Forum is not an organization which is just situated in the Western European countries. We are a family of 9 European countries, from Croatia, Bulgaria, Poland, Lithuania, the Netherlands, France, Austria, Slovenia, and last but not least, Croatia. And I think we saw today that this family is working. This family is now organized as a non-profit organization in Belgium. And Jeannette, I will give the last words to you.
Thank you very much, Daniel. Basically, there is not much to say. I think we've heard a lot today. The only thing I have to add is I'm also very happy that we have established the European AI Forum, that we have formalized our collaboration that has been ongoing for more than 3 years now, and that we elevate our joint efforts to make the European AI ecosystem even better than it is now, to the benefit, yes, of everyone, of the economy, of the society, of the environment. And that's why I'm very proud that we finalized now the 7th edition of our European AI Forum live from Brussels. And yes, looking forward to continuing our work, because we're surely not done.
Yeah, we're surely not done, and please like and subscribe. So visit our LinkedIn page, which we set up newly. Visit on Twitter. We don't have an Instagram or a TikTok account. Perhaps this will be the following. But in this case, we are really, really happy that you joined us here live, or most of you are watching this as a replay in the next days. We really appreciate all the efforts. We appreciate all the efforts the member associations did this year in providing us with excellent keynote speakers. And I want to thank my colleague Jeannette Gorzala for a wonderful moderation. And we wish you all the best for the next days. Let's keep us tuned. Let's work together. Have a great day. Live from the IPAI in Heilbronn and from Brussels, the European AI Forum says goodbye, and to our next meeting in like 6 months. Bye-bye.
Goodbye. See you soon.
Bye.